Jen Latta here from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. I have told you about the delicious pizza you can find at Proof Pizza inside St. Kate. Now there's even more to be excited about with new sandwiches on the menu. Available every day from 11 to 4, you can enjoy options like the turkey pesto, the meatball hero, the Italian hoagie, and more. Skip the same old lunch at your desk and grab a delicious sandwich from Proof instead. Order inside the restaurant or directly from the bar at St. Kate. Explore the new sandwiches and the rest of the menu at proofpizzamke.com.
At Fleet Farm, we're proud to offer everything you need for everyday life. We're even prouder to offer it at the best prices guaranteed. Like Sprout Sweet Mix for livestock, on sale for $9.29. Or 2.5 gallons of diesel exhaust fluid, everyday low priced at $6.99. And if you happen to find a lower price, we'll match it. Any day, every day. Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life at the best prices guaranteed.
Why is life better with American Family Insurance? Because every policy comes with something very special. A trusted agent who's there to help protect your dreams by finding the right coverage at the right price. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Kicking off the 2024 NFL season, it is Green Bay Game Day with you here on ESPN Wisconsin. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel of ESPN fame, John Anderson, former Packers right tackle Brian Bulaga, all with me here as we lead you up to kickoff 7:15 tonight between the Packers and the Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil. John Anderson, I've been waiting to hear your voice, my friend. I've been waiting. Bring me up to speed. How are you feeling on this Packers season opener game day?
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Can you hear me?
Yep. Earth to John Anderson.
Get it. I love that you prank the new guy, but you won't do it to Bulaga because he can beat the snot out of you two.
It's a good point.
But me, you're like, hey, he's probably nothing going to happen to him. So I'm sitting here like it's a funeral. Hey, we got a great party for you, but we know you really can't come. So outstanding to be here. This is awesome. What did we talk about in the first thing, right? We talked the Packers Eagles. Is that the subject? Is that what we're going with?
I don't know how you got so wise, John. How the hell did you figure that one out?
Yeah, I tell you what, that guy can read a schedule, can he?
He sure can.
No, it's good. Listen, I'm like everybody else. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be to this point, and not just because of the Packers and this what appears to be unbridled optimism by everybody in the state of Wisconsin around, but just like. And I love everything about baseball, but it's just been so long since we've seen a game, and a game where all the guys I want to see actually play more than 4 downs. And that's not a shot at Aaron Rodgers. That's more of a preseason joke, but it works both ways. So, like, I just want to see people actually,
that joke.
Right? I want to see people when they always talk about the coaches, right? Sometimes you just got to be more physical. You got to go punch a guy in the mouth. And I love all that talk because I would never be able to do that. But finally get to do that because nobody really does that in the preseason, right? They get up there and they kind of try and they get the guy that maybe is the 7th round pick and the undrafted free agents get at it and do a little of it. But they're not any good. They're guys just trying to make the depth chart. So I just want to see actual people play actual football like it means something. And you watch that opener with the Chiefs last night. You're like, wow, look, there's juice to that game, right? Like I just want to feel. You watch any other game, the juice doesn't come through, and all of a sudden you look at that and you're like, yeah, I'm a TV, and I'm thousands of miles from Kansas City, and that juice comes through the television, and I think it'll come through from South America tonight too. And hopefully it's the start of something big. And it's not like they're starting against a kind of a downtrodden Bears team like they did a year ago. This is a team that I think certainly will give the Packers a formidable test despite how they ended last season. I think that's a group that's got some ability on their roster and some coaches that know how to coach and know what they're doing. So we'll find out right away if this team is going to live up to it or if they're going to have to work into it.
It's a really good point by you, John. 2 really good points, actually. Number one, Shout out to the schedule makers in the NFL this weekend. I mean, look at all the games we've got on national television that have juice. Talk about last night, what a great product that was tonight between the Packers and the Eagles. Sunday night, you've got Rams-Lions. You've got Sunday afternoon, you've got Browns-Cowboys, which is a fun one. Monday night, Jets-Niners on national television. The schedule makers crushed it for week number 1. The other really good point you made, John, and I want to go to Brian on this, is the importance of this week 1 game. It is an in-conference opponent, the Philadelphia Eagles. It feels like these are two teams that will be jockeying against one another for playoff positioning come January. Brian, you've played in week 1 games like that. I think of a specific one back in 2014 against the Seattle Seahawks. It was week 1. You ended up seeing them in the NFC Championship game that we don't talk about on this program. But this is a big week 1 matchup between the Packers and the Eagles that will ultimately play a role down the stretch of the season.
Absolutely. And I think, even though that the schedule's been extended to 17 games, people don't have to forget about what happens early on. You got to remember what happens early on because big games like this in conference matter. I get it's week 1, and when we get to week 14, 15, this first game will be out of sight, but not in the playoff standings. It won't. It'll be right there, right in front of you, potentially a head-to-head loss or win, which is huge. That year in 14, we were outplayed. We were smoked in that game. Week 1, let's not get twisted.
You guys sacrificed Jarrett Boykin's career in that game.
Yeah, it was an absolute disaster.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about, they knew Richard Sherman wasn't going to move, so they just always sent Jarrett Boykin to that side of the field and tried to work Cobb and Jordy on the other side of the field. Boykin was never heard from ever again.
Yeah, listen, you spend all OTAs and training camp game planning for a game, and maybe too many ideas happen, and they all get put out there and they don't work. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes all that time planning for something doesn't go well, and you obviously you look through that 14 season like this season's going to carry out. The game that cost us, unfortunately, was the game in Buffalo where we lost to Buffalo, a bad Buffalo team, and that knocked us out of the 1 seed. That's how it came down. But you could still go back to week 1, and if we beat Seattle in week 1, we're still the 1 seed. We retain the 1 seed, and we move on, and everyone's happy with games in Lambeau. So I don't look past week 1. Yeah, we could talk about the performance may not be great. Okay, yeah, it is week 1. That doesn't mean you excuse losing because these are in-division opponents and you need to win these games. That's, the NFL, like you said, is very smart with how they make these games, right? They don't put 2 playoff teams in the AFC last night in week 1, and now we go to night 2 and it's 2 NFC playoff teams potential. They don't do this on accident. So this is a big game, and by all means, I feel good about this Green Bay Packer team getting a win here, but they got to show it. And this matters towards the end of the season. It will, for sure.
See, I guess with the 17 games, there's some wiggle room. You want to win just to get off on the right foot and not be paying catch up the whole time. But it's nice that with 17 games, it's not fatal. Which I'm not trying to alibi something that happens, but at least it's there's when it was 14, it was tough. 16, they've shown 0-2 was really fatal, but you just want to come into the building when you get back and have some good vibes as you go through the rest of it, because it's a hell of a trip they got to make, and you'd hate to make that whole thing, and that's a long ass plane ride back, man. Imagine if you don't play well.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I guess I'm not as optimistic as Brian about a win tonight. Maybe it's just because it's been years and years of watching the Packers run defense, and maybe it'll actually be different tonight. But I don't know about you guys. I'm terrified of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I think you should be. I was thinking about it the other day, and Josh Jacobs falls into this as well, and we saw Derrick Henry last night in Baltimore. There are some really good running backs in the NFL, and most of them are on new teams this year. Right, you think about Saquon and the names I just mentioned, Austin Eckler's in Washington. Saquon might be the best of all those guys. And between the youth and just the overall skill, I'm a little nervous about a guy named Saquon Barkley tonight. And by the way, that quarterback can run a little bit too in Jalen Hurts. So yeah, the Philadelphia offense is going to be a huge test for a defense really in game 1 of this system, because they ran out the most vanilla scheme possible in the 3 preseason games.
Yeah, it's the first time this defense is going to have an opportunity to play at full speed against another team.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, Saquon Barkley is an electric player. He's dynamic. He's a great runner. But, I mean, and he is a threat. But I look at who the offensive coordinator is. It's Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, all the way back to when he first became an OC, he throws the football. He will throw and throw and throw until the game's up. Like, that's his DNA. He did it in Dallas when Dallas had a great offensive line and a great pair of running backs. He did it in LA when they had Austin Eckler. They throw the football. So you have to look at this from a defensive mindset that what is the tendency of this coordinator? Now, obviously, the coordinator can play you out of that tendency, and he can play out of that, and they can get a heavy dose of Saquon. Then you got to make adjustments. But you got to look at kind of what Kellen Moore has done up to this point calling plays. And there's no guy that wants to get off to a better start than the offensive coordinator of the Eagles when they stunk last year towards the end of the season on offense. So, and obviously Fangio being the D coordinator, I think Fangio's a very good D coordinator. Gone against his defenses a lot. And, it's not the same when he's not calling it, but he's calling it, and he normally gets these guys to play. So, yes, I'm worried about Saquon because I know the type of player he is and how he can just, break runs and get an offense in rhythm and flow. But I think Philly's going to throw it. I mean, you don't invest that much money in wide receivers and quarterbacks and then turn around and hand it off 30 times a game. It just doesn't normally work that way. So I think you got to go into this thing ready to stop the pass and make adjustments if they decide to go heavy duty with Saquon Barkley.
I'm excited to hear John's perspective on this because, John, I think you would agree with me. You tend to be the more pessimistic Packers fan, given some of the teams you grew up watching. So I'm curious when in a season opener, a new defense, a new defensive coordinator, a new scheme, goes up against a high-powered machine featuring Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, etc., how you're feeling entering this matchup against the Philadelphia offense.
So what are you saying? You guys got Brian Bulaga and I got Bill Bain?
That's correct.
Is what you're saying on my offensive line back
correct.
in the day?
Yeah.
Picked him? Thanks a lot for that. Listen, Barkley scares me because I was at the last two times they played the Giants. I was in the Meadowlands when they got beat, and I was in London when they got beat. And both times when they finally, and I'm 100% with Brian, when they finally decided to turn him loose and let him do some things, that's when they had problems. And you can have a great back, man. You can have Jim Brown back there, but if you're going to give it to him 11 times and it doesn't do any good, then I'm not scared of that guy anymore, So I'm anxious. Yeah, Fangio is defensively. What's he? His 8th team that he's been a defense coordinator. Like the Packers have seen him 100 times in 8 different places when he comes through. So it's I'm trying to think how to best characterize, with the question that you asked. But it is Jalen Hurts is where they're going to operate, right? He's the guy that scares me most in this because he's going to touch it every down. And every down, he will be part of that play. There's some drives, right? Some quarterbacks, they get it every down, but they immediately hand out. They're not really involved. They're involved in 60% of the plays. This guy's involved in 100% of the plays. So how they managed him is, I think, the entire game. How they decide to control him, how they decide to rush him and try to keep him contained. Do they spy him? Everything to me is how that guy is, how number one is contained defensively. And hopefully this guy can do it better than the last guy. Because the last guy really, he added to all my pessimism.
The last guy added to all my pessimism. Yeah. Joe Barry did that to a few people.
That guy was my pessimism.
Yeah, that's fair. Hopefully we can shed that throughout the season this year with John Anderson here on Green Bay Game Day. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, and Brian Bulaga with you. By the way, John, you nailed it. Vic Fangio in his 8th stint as a defensive coordinator in the NFL, and that does not count his stint as the defensive coordinator at Stanford back in 2010. So his 8th different team in the NFL. You nailed it.
As a coordinator, I think he's probably been about 10 or 11 of them, right? I don't think he was
the head coach of the Broncos.
Yeah, and he had some time in Indy and whatever. The guy's well-traveled, that's for sure. So he knows what he's doing. Yeah, by the way, he hasn't been run out a lot of those places, right? He's moved on and taken different jobs because there's some guys that have had 2 or 3 jobs and they've been run out of them. This guy usually shows up and does pretty good work.
Rob Domofsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, will join us next. But first, Green Bay Game Day brought to you in part by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. 1995, Tito Beverage, yeah, that's his real name, had the idea of building his own distillery, incorporating the boutique winery concept into the spirits industry. He acquired the first legal permit to distill in Texas and put his life savings into it, racking up 19 credit cards to build his own copper pot stills and condensers. Since then, he's won the unanimous Judge's Choice double gold medal at the World Spirits Competition, the Chairman's Trophy for World's Best Vodka Tonic, and many, many others. It's got a modest paper label on a simple bottle, so all you pay for is the exceptional vodka on the inside. Tito's Handmade Vodka is still made on that same land where it all started in Austin, Texas. Distilled from corn and gluten-free. Visit Tito'sVodka.com for recipes, videos, and more. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly. Must be 21 or older to enjoy. Rob Domofsky joins us next on Green Bay Game Day to break down all things green and gold ahead of the season opener at 7:15 tonight, just less than 3 hours away from kickoff between the Packers and Eagles. That's next on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
Calling all green and gold fans. Ditch the stress and ride in style to Green Bay with the Milwaukee Broadhouse. With round-trip rides starting at $85 per person to every home game, you can enjoy all you can drink on the bus. No need to worry about traffic or parking. Milwaukee Broadhouse even has a private restroom on board. Upgrade your experience with an all-you-can-eat and drink tailgate package for $30 more. Don't miss out. Secure your seat now at MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com. Let's make every game day legendary.
How would you like to own a jewelry store?
Kessler's Diamonds is an employee-owned company.
And Kessler's is growing. Are you the kind of person we're looking for?
Does it make you happy to make other people happy?
Are you a problem solver?
Would you like to wake up every morning knowing that you're going to help a lot of people find joy today?
Kessler's Diamonds is people serving people.
Keep in mind that Kessler's is owned by its employees. So let me ask you this. Are you a good enough leader that you can be an owner who leads other owners?
Don't worry, you don't have to know about diamonds. We can teach you about diamonds. But the people we're looking for aren't looking for a job.
Did someone pop into your head just now?
Do you think you might know who we're looking for?
Give that person a call.
Send them an email.
Tell them to walk into Kessler's Diamonds and say to the person who greets them,
I think I want to work here.
Welcome to Kessler's.
A fantastic place to buy jewelry and a wonderful place to work.
For the store nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Hey sports fans, looking to level up your next private event? V Private Bar Services is your game changer. Move beyond the ordinary. V Private Bar Services crafts custom cocktails tailored to your brand and your guests' taste. Imagine a bar experience that's as unique as your business. Our expert mixologists will create a memorable experience that your clients and team will rave about. From signature cocktails to full-service bars, we've got you covered. Be the MVP of your next event. Visit vprivatebar.com to book today.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde. Our family loves when Kringle from Racine Danish Kringles arrives at our home. And now football season has arrived. So try the green and gold Kringle. Traditional pecan Kringle and cheesecake Kringle topped with green and gold sprinkles. A crowd pleaser at any game day party. Order today at Kringle.com or 1-800-4DANISH. Easy to remember. Kringle.com or 1-800-4DANISH. Racine Danish Kringles. Not just a treat, it's a tradition. And the official pastry of ESPN Wisconsin.
College students, are you looking to make your campus living more comfortable, functional, and fashionable this year? Let IKEA Oak Creek help. From innovative storage solutions and furniture to maximize your space, to fashionable bedding and accessories to make it uniquely yours, IKEA is helping make college living truly inspired by you. And now, qualified college students can get 15% off their IKEA purchases. Visit IKEA Oak Creek or check out the Ready for College section on IKEA.com/US to learn more.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
I haven't heard this song in 8 months. Amazing. It's Green Bay Game Day with you. ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube. That's Gabe Neitzel and Alex Stroh, former Packer Brian Bulaga with me, and of ESPN fame, John Anderson with us as well. And John said, hey, if I'm going to be involved with this show, I can't be the only one from quote-unquote ESPN fame on this program. So I said, all right, John, I'll do you one better. We'll bring Rob Domofsky in each and every week to provide some context on all things Packers. Rob Domofsky joins us now on Green Bay Game Day. Rob, I know you and I talked earlier in the week on Kyle Bruston-Nortman. Summer flu, here we are, week 1 of the NFL season. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. I'm doing great. I'm not in Brazil, so I'm even better.
That's fair. Rob, we were discussing at length the defense, right? You're in the building every day. You're having the conversations. But us, at least on John, Gabe, and I's behalf, we're just fans. We're taking in the information on Twitter. We're reading your stories on ESPN.com. But that's about all we've got. What type of feel do you have for the Jeff Hafley-led defense entering week 1 against the Eagles?
My biggest feel is that the safety position is totally different and totally more effective and totally more involved. I mean, they've completely revamped it from a personnel standpoint, as you know, but just the way they play is so different. And I really believe that this defense is going to be led by this safety group. And if they're going to get takeaways, that's where it's going to come from.
John, when you're looking, Rob, at training camp, preseason, all of that, what player outside of the safety group, was there one player that stood out the most to you that maybe is going to make a huge impact tonight?
Well, Gabe, Rashawn Gary was in the backfield all the time. So was Kenny Clark. I don't know if that's a reflection more of the offensive line issues. Look, Zach Tom, the right tackle, the best offensive lineman they have, didn't do a lot of 11-on-11 in training camp. But, there were sequences of plays where Rashawn Gary was either getting a quarterback pressure/hit or a sack. And again, they don't really have sacks in training camp, but would be sacks. Like he would get in a 5-play stretch, he'd have 3 or 4 of those. So I think Rashawn Gary has cranked it up a notch. One, because the defensive system just allows him to put his hand in the ground and rush and not drop. But 2, he's probably a little bit, he's further away from the ACL recovery and probably he's just 100% now.
Rob, it's Brian, your favorite guy to report on when I was there. Quick, obviously we know Jair's on one side of the field as our number 1 corner. Has Stokes kind of emerged as a solid number 2? Is that going to be a position that's rotated throughout the game, or kind of which way are they leaning the opposite corner? Because we all know whoever's opposite of Jair is getting picked on. So who's going to be the guy that's out there?
Yeah, in fact, I asked Eric Stokes on, my days are all screwed up, whatever the last day we had availability is before they left. I guess it was Tuesday. I said, do you expect to be tested? Because A, he's not Jair, and B, he hasn't played much in the last 2 seasons. And he said, absolutely, and I'm ready for it. And I don't think there's going to be a rotation, Brian. I really don't. In training camp, he was there all the time. Carrington Valentine never really rotated in. Now, Valentine was dealing with a hamstring injury, so he missed a bunch of camp. Interestingly enough, though, Keyshawn Nixon did play a little outside corner in camp, and they experimented with having Javon Bullard move up to the slot, and then Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney. That's in the nickel, obviously. So, but I do think it's going to be a lot, if not exclusively, Eric Stokes opposite him. And look, that's the guy who's got a lot to prove, right? He's in the last year of his rookie deal. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. And in 2021, he was a pretty darn good player, and then he just hasn't been able to stay healthy at all. And like Christian Watson, I mean, he went through the whole hamstring program down in Madison and, feel like they've got his injury issues under control. And I can tell you this, that from the start of OTAs until now, Eric Stokes didn't miss a single day of practice. So I don't know that you could have said that about him at any point over the last couple of years.
That's a good note.
How come you don't want to be in Brazil, Rob?
Well, as you know, John, the policymakers say that on international games, only the home team reporter goes, and that's the great Tim McManus. I was fortunate enough to go to London in 2022 when they played the Giants. The Packers were the home team. That's the company line. My line is I don't want to travel 20 hours twice in 4 days.
I get it.
I mean, really, like, you think it's bad for the players? They're 10.5 hours. Like the guys who are there covering it, they can't get out of Brazil until about 5 p.m. tomorrow, and don't get home until sometime Sunday, late in the day. So, it ain't easy. Believe it or not, there's no directs from Austin Straubel to Sao Paulo. So I think I would have had to go Green Bay to Detroit, Detroit to JFK, JFK to Sao Paulo.
I believe I read the Packers chartered team plane is the first time in history a plane has flown direct from Green Bay, Austin Straubel Airport to Brazil. I believe I read that earlier in the week.
It was a 777, which might be the largest plane ever to land there as well.
That's a fair point. Rob Domofsky with us here on Green Bay Game Day. Go ahead, John.
Let me just interject two things. One, Rob, if you do that, that's an extra $56 day in per diem from ESPN if you did want to take a trip.
It's up to 61, John.
Okay, so it's an extra $61.
They got your contract off the books, and they raised it $5 a day.
Correct. It used to be, we used to always joke it was Jimmy Johnson. It was because it was $48 a day, so it was like Jimmy Johnson card. Secondly, as a youngster, actually, a 747 once flew into Green Bay Austin Straubel Field. I know I was there to watch it. It was such a big deal. And do you want to know why that plane was there? It was there to take Wisconsin bowlers to the International Bowling Congress, something in Vegas. So figures that was what would happen in Wisconsin.
I thought maybe it was Air Force One and there was a presidential visit. I don't know. Air Force One has landed in Green Bay. I don't know what type of plane that actually is, though.
Wow, airplane
talk.
They
want because. Yeah, they had to take a bunch of bowlers. So, hey, you touched on two of these guys. I feel like that Rashawn Gary has to be the best player on the Packers defense if they're going to be good, and McKinney has to be the most important player on defense. I don't know. Is that can I make that nuanced distinction, yes or no?
All right, those are right up there. I do think Jair Alexander has to get back to being Jair Alexander, and he certainly appears that way, at least from a buy-in standpoint. I mean, you have to have one player sort of at every level. Obviously Rashawn up front, and if it's Xavier in the secondary or Jair in the secondary, then you still need somebody in that middle of the defense like a Quay Walker or I'm really curious to see what Edgerrin Cooper can do tonight, if anything. Another guy that did not really practice much in training camp. We kind of penciled him in to be a starter, and lo and behold, the two veteran guys that were sort of seemed like they were placeholders in Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson. They weren't really challenged by either Cooper or Tyron Hopper, the other rookie. So I'm curious to see if there are any packages for, interchanging the inside linebackers, including Cooper. But, I think you just have to have an impact player at every level of the defense, whether that's, one in the secondary, one in the defensive front, or however you do it. But I think you got to have a guy at each level of the defense that's the most important player or the best player on the field.
Rob Domofsky with us here, ESPN NFL Nation reporter covering the Packers on Green Bay Game Day. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga with you. I can't believe the words that are about to come out of my mouth, but they're going to. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask Rob about the kicker position. That's a sad sentence. Another rookie kicker starting the season, second year in a row, Rob. Braden Narveson is his name. He spent the preseason with the Tennessee Titans. What are the coaches and his teammates saying about him entering his first ever regular season NFL game?
Well, Alex, he's the sixth kicker they've had on the roster since the end of the season, if you think about that. Six. This is the sixth time, maybe the charm. I'll say this, from a physical standpoint, he looks like Brian Bulaga, but a foot shorter. I mean, if they Brian, how tall were you, Brian? About 6'6", 6'5"? How tall are you?
Yep. Like 6'6", 6'5", yeah, right around there.
Yeah, this guy's about 5'8", but he's built like you. He's thick. He looks like he's ready to tackle somebody. In all seriousness, though, Matt LaFleur said he's never gone into a season like this where the kicker is somebody that he's never seen kick before the regular season opener. He was a 79% kicker in college, which is not great, but in the pre, well, let's get the bad part out of the way. The good part is,
well, is Matt LaFleur still going to be praying if he sends him out there for a game-winning kick the way he was with Anders?
With Anders, the good part is that in practice, the first day he was 5 out of 5, made everything, including a 56-yarder. The second time he kicked right before they left, he had only missed one. I think he said it was a 51-yarder, and he came back and made from 53. So he's like 9 for 10 in real simulated game kicks in practice. It's not a big sample size, but in Tennessee this year he was 6 out of 7, made both of his extra points. Let's not discount that because the extra points were an issue last year too with Anders, who I think missed 4 or 5 of them. So Matt LaFleur initially said that the unknown could affect his decision making, play calling, and what he's going to do on 3rd and long or 4th and short. And then by the end of the week, he said that he has 100% confidence in him. Now, I don't know what else he's supposed to say, but it'll be interesting to see if they're at like the 35, 36-yard line, and it's 4th and 2. Let's see what he does then, right? Let's see if he sends them out there for a 53, 54-yarder, or he tries to go for it.
Okay, so nobody's feeling a whole lot better, I would guess, after that answer.
I'm sorry, Alex, but that's the reality that they're in. I'm not saying this guy's not going to be great. And look, just because if he gets off to a great start doesn't mean he's going to be great. And if he gets off to a bad start, I mean, Ryan Longwell in his second game as the kicker against Philadelphia, by the way, week 2 of the 1997 season, had a chance at a game winner in Philly in the rain, and he kind of slipped and missed it. And
it's like a
look,
28-yarder.
Ryan Longwell ended up being a pretty good kicker for a long time, and his career started out maybe not so great. So I guess let's not cut Narveson before week 2 if he doesn't come through, and let's not say he's the answer either, because Anders started the year great last year. I think he was wasn't he 10 for 10 or even more than that?
Yeah.
Before he finally missed one in Vegas. I think he finally missed one against the Raiders, which I think that was the game he first missed. So it's just this is a long season. I think I said this on Willie's show the other day, or maybe it was on with Brust and those guys. One thing I'm going to try to do this year is not make massive judgments after a week or 2 or 3, because I was the first one that said when they were 2-5 and going nowhere last year, I think I remember saying to you guys, I don't know if they're going to win another game before they play the Giants in December. And obviously they ended up winning a lot more games. And I don't even think they beat the Giants.
Yeah, I was about to say, in fairness to you, they did lose that Giants game.
They did lose to the Giants, but that was the only game they lost down the stretch. So I'm trying, and I don't know how long I'll be able to keep this even-keeled approach. But in my 28th year of covering this team, I finally learned that maybe you shouldn't ride the waves and be so judgmental based on a week or 2 or 3, even 3.
Well, I can't wait for one to overreact to this Packers-Eagles game with you on Monday on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Yeah, he's still in the ever ongoing search for growth, is Rob Domofsky. One last thing for you, per usual, Rob, as we do on Green Bay Game Day. I need a game prediction from you.
So let's do this, okay? Let's keep track of if I actually get any of these right, because I'm pretty sure I was terrible last year.
Oh, we all were.
That being said, I think they're going to come out and play really well tonight, and I think they're going to win the game. I think they could win 24-21, 23-20, something like that. I'm picking them to win in a close, hotly contested game.
Love to hear that from Rob Domofsky. Rob, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week in Green Bay for the home opener.
All right, guys. We'll be seeing you.
It's Rob Domofsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter. You can read him at ESPN.com, and you can see him on ESPN, just like you saw John Anderson your entire life. John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe with you here on Green Bay Game Day. Guys, I got to play something for you coming up next as the Packers start their season in a different country, because Matt LaFleur, I just talked about the nonstop search for growth like Rob Domofsky on. It seems like Matt LaFleur's on that same search. We will hear from the head coach ahead of the Packers season opener in Brazil. That's coming up next. It's Green Bay Game Day on ESPN Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977.
Big players show up in big games.
Touchdown!
Donald Driver and Cousins Subs are no different. With the football season upon us, Double D and Cousins are teaming up to offer 80-cent delivery this Friday through Sunday on any order of $30 or more.
Touchdown!
Simply order your favorite subs and sides online or on Cousins mobile app, and we'll deliver them to you. And don't forget, we now offer Apple and Google Pay. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. In 1995, Tito Beveridge built his very own distillery and put his life savings into it. Since then, he's won the unanimous Judge's Choice Double Gold Medal at the World Spirits Competition, the Chairman's Trophy for World's Best Vodka Tonic, and many others. Tito's Handmade Vodka is still made on the same land where he started it, all in Austin, Texas. Distilled from corn and gluten-free. Visit us at Tito'sVodka.com for recipes, videos, and more. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hey, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. Whether I'm headed to a big college football game or just need a reliable ride, I trust Accutrans Group. They're a veteran-owned business that delivers top-notch transportation, perfect for game day or any event. From tailgates to team outings to corporate travel and weddings, Accutrans has you covered. Booking is a breeze, and their service is always safe and dependable. Visit AccuTransGroup.com to book your ride today. That's AccuTransGroup.com, your go-to for reliable transportation this football season.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
September baseball is coming, and every Brewers game means even more this time of year. Get to American Family Field as the crew takes on the Rockies September 6th through the 8th. Get your seats now at Brewers.com.
$1 million. That's big. Really big. This September, Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee is handing out a cool million, and you've got a shot at winning your share. The big $1 million giveaway is here. Just play with your rewards card and you're entered to win. Couldn't be easier and couldn't be bigger. No wonder it's called the Big One. For more details, visit paysbig.com/big one. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Right now, more than 100,000 children waiting in foster care need our help. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is focused on finding them safe, permanent homes. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Green Bay Game Day presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin with you on this Friday night kickoff game. I think I like it, actually, the Friday night. I'm Alex Strofe. That's Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga with us, Chris Larson running the show. Gabe, you into the Friday night kickoff? I think I like it.
I don't know, man. There's just, and maybe it's because I've been so involved in a lot of our high school coverage for ESPN Wisconsin over the years that infringing onto the high school space is still something that just doesn't sit right with me.
So I get that take, but I will say I do like the idea of me not being pissed off all day on Sunday if for some reason the Packers lose today. I can actually just watch football all day and not be pissed.
Well, no, so you just be pissed off for the entire weekend.
All weekend.
Yeah, that's a good point, John. Yeah, good point by you guys.
Yeah, are you kidding? I'm with you, man. Friday night is for high school football. This is, and I know the Big Ten, everybody else is encroached on that. I'm the same way. Friday is that, and I would like every game to kick off at noon on Sunday, but I realize there's money involved in it. Everybody had their place. Now you got to play on Thursdays, and I just needed the Cowboys and the Lions play on Thursday, one time Thanksgiving, everything else Sunday, fine. Now everybody's got to make $1 billion, but oh well. Who am I to stand in the way of progress, people? Let's go. Friday night, kick it off.
But Brian's going to come at this from the player's perspective. Brian, if you were playing today, it's a national spotlight game. It's the second NFL game of the season. Would you embrace this, Brazil aside, this time slot?
Yeah, I think it'd be good from the standpoint. Obviously, in Brazil, I would not like to travel that long to do it. That's a no-go, because if, say, it was in the States or, heck, even somewhere closer, you can almost treat it as almost another little mini bye, right? Like, you get done playing Friday, you get a couple days off to rest, relax, get your body back before the next week starts, but now you're hopping on a plane, going another 10 hours back to Green Bay, and, I mean, it's a nothing burger. And, listen, I'm all for the high school space. Fridays are sacred for high school football, and that's just what it is. I think, obviously, to me, that's the most pure form of football is in high school.
100%.
No matter what, that's what it is to me. But I would enjoy this. I think it'd be fun. I mean, obviously, also, it's not really the national spotlight because people outside of Wisconsin and Philly have to pay for Peacock to get it, like I'm going to. I mean, I already had Peacock for the Premier League soccer, but people.
Oh, I thought you were going to be a WWE guy watching all the WWE events.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be on me and Gabe's side here, WWE fans, and now John Anderson's head is in his hands. So clearly not a WWE guy. All right, we call this an exercise.
No, that was for the Premier League.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So John Anderson, big.
I'm so against kicking.
In all forms, he's just out on kicking.
The pessimism shine through. Go ahead.
I'll make this quick. If God had wanted us to play soccer, he wouldn't have given us arms. End of story.
I mean, I guess the goalies get to use them. I mean,
one guy.
Cool. One guy. Cool. All right, Green Bay Game Day with you. Alex Strofe, Brian Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, the ever-pessimistic John Anderson. We call this an exercise in audio here on Green Bay Game Day. Another international game for the Packers, second time in 3 years. I want to start with Matt LaFleur's attitude. So back in 2022, the Packers played an October game in London against the New York Giants, which ultimately led to the demise in Aaron Rodgers' final season as the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. They lost that game. But the attitude for Matt LaFleur, I wouldn't call it positive. Here from October of 2022 is Matt LaFleur talking about the Packers playing in London.
I'm not going to give you my honest answer. I'd rather refrain. It feels like a Thursday night game for us as coaches, just in terms of all the preparation you got to do, and you just do it. So it is what it is.
It is what it is from the head coach Matt LaFleur back in October of 2022, talking about traveling internationally to play a game. Now, earlier this week, actually this was yesterday in Brazil, Matt LaFleur started his press conference in Brazil with this.
Bom dia. We're really excited to be down here in Brazil. Your country's been great to us. The people have been fantastic. We're looking forward to making history tomorrow, and really looking forward to playing the Philadelphia Eagles to start off the 2024 season.
So, Brian, I go to you. Your former head coach seemingly having a little bit of an attitude change, or did he just get really good at acting all of a sudden?
Well, I think he probably learned from what happened in 2022 and kind of his attitude towards that international trip. Because, I mean, it shouldn't rub off on guys because they're professionals, but it does rub off on guys. Like, if a coach or a group of players or something is not really excited about something, or they're not totally thrilled to be like making this trip international, that kind of rubs off on players as well. And it's like, well, I mean, coach isn't even really happy to be here. So whatever happens out here is what happens. We'll just wipe it and move on. And that's the attitude that maybe guys go, I'm not saying everybody, but potentially that's kind of an attitude that people may go into it with. Now, I think Matt has probably learned from that. I mean, he still at that point was still a young head coach in this league, right? I mean, what was that, his third year? He was still learning a lot of things. There was a lot of, obviously, noise around the team with Aaron and things that were going on. So, like, he was still learning on the job. And obviously, I think now he's learned from that, and he gets, to this new position in Brazil in week 1 on a Friday. It's a longer flight. No, nobody wants to be there, but you can't have kind of a downer attitude about it. Because we talked about it in the first segment. These games have implications. You need to have your team ready to go. And if you're not excited about it or negative about it, that rubs off on the team. So an attitude of optimism, excitement, we're making history, like that's all great stuff that your team feels excited to be there as well. Both teams have to deal with traveling. Both teams have to get on a plane for a long time, go through the dehydration and jet lag and all that. It's what team comes out in a more positive manner and a more, forward-thinking type mentality and attitude when they get out there, and that starts with the head coach and the message that he's sending to the team, and it sounds like LaFleur is sending a pretty good one.
I think it's two things here. First, the organization didn't want this game. They were coming up with every excuse under the sun. Like, the Browns wanted this game. Like, they thought they were going, and clearly the league wanted the Packers to go. You had Mark Murphy be, the runway's just not big enough. We can't get a plane out. There's no way we can fly there. We just can't figure it out. And obviously they ended up figuring it out. And ever since the league, kind of convinced them to take the game, they have been all in. And I think the other big difference is this is the start of the season, right? Like, you haven't really established that in Brian, I'm assuming this is true of you because it's true of the guy I sit across from, in Chewy every Monday through Friday, of how football players are just creatures of habit. And those habits, while for some veterans, obviously they have been established, but they haven't been established for this season because it's the first game of the year. So the schedule can be thrown off a little bit, I think, here early because you haven't gotten to that routine because it was week 6 when they went to London a couple of seasons ago. I
agree. I mean, you're exactly right. Like, once you get into the flow of the season, you're so used to what Monday looks like, what Tuesday looks like, and what are we installing on Wednesday? What's the install on Thursday? The Friday's and when you throw a wrench in there traveling internationally and it throws off everybody's, workout schedules, rehab schedules, and just like everything, sleep schedule. Yeah, I mean, it makes things a little bit iffier going into that week. So I'm with you. I mean, that's probably a lot of it too, that these guys, it's so early on, it's the first week, it gets thrown at you right away. You don't got to go do it later on in the year. That's obviously is a positive, I would think. I mean, at least for me, it would be.
Yeah, I think the placement of the game is key. 2, you should sell it like, listen, this is what the Super Bowl is going to be like. It's going to be a weird deal where you're going to have to go and it's going to upset your schedule. I think that you guys hit on a little bit with the Aaron stuff that was just around that team the whole time. And now he's in this situation. His quarterback's locked up. They're kind of running his offense. I think he's more relaxed overall that he has got this this is fully on him now. So I think there's a relaxation about him that's just different than there was a couple years ago in general, which has helped. And then I love the fact that on a 10-hour flight, he brought the Rosetta Stone tapes and learned some Portuguese, which is awesome, right? Instead of just watching 4 Harry Potter flicks on the way down, he improved himself. That's good. I like that.
That's the best. That's John Anderson, former Packer Brian Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe with you here on Green Bay Game Day. Coming up next, we kick off the Jason Wilde hour of Green Bay Game Day. That includes the injury report brought to you by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. That also includes my favorite segment of the show. Year 2 of Yes or No with Jason Wilde. We'll be in the 5 o'clock hour. All still ahead. It is Green Bay Game Day with you, leading you up to kickoff between the Packers and Eagles right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
The Island invites you to fall into golf with late-season rounds at Sweetgrass or Sage Run. The vibrant fall colors and cooler temperatures make for great days out on the golf course. Fall golf rates run September 16th through the end of the 2024 season, with tee time starting at $75 and stay-and-play packages starting at $110. And submit your 2025 golf package request early to guarantee choice dates. Plan your fall golf adventure today at islandresortgolf.com.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
Is it Super Bowl appearance or bust, or Super Bowl win or bust for Lamar Jackson?
I think it's Super Bowl appearance or bust because you have to continue to take those steps if you're Lamar Jackson. Obviously, if he gets there, we're going to expect him to win it based on the talent around him and the fact that he's a 2-time MVP award winner. But you can't be in the AFC Championship game last year and then do anything less than progress if you're Lamar. You're at that stage in your career where you've proved how great you are. You have a head coach who's won a Super Bowl. You have an immense amount of talent around you. When you look at the Ravens, there's not a lot of holes on that team, and you expect him to be able to get it done. That's what the great ones do, is they're able to get it done.
If you get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC, you better win it when you got an opportunity to. You better win it. It'd be a shame to win the AFC Championship game against Patrick Mahomes or whoever is your opponent and then get to the Super Bowl and lose.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play, like Bear Dynasty interior paint, their most durable one-coat hide paint ever. From a team color statement wall to a fan cave, complete with a mural honoring Nick Saban's 17-year dynasty.
Hey, I like that idea.
Nothing beats Bear Dynasty interior paint. It's everything you need all in one can.
Defend your game time with Bear and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Valid only when tended to colors from the Bear Dynasty and Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Color Collection.
With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you can watch the most live NFL games all in one place, which means you can watch the Rams and the Colts and the Vikings and the Bengals and the Buccaneers and the Chargers, or whoever you're rooting for, all in your living room. But not literally, of course. That would be dangerous. Watch every game every Sunday with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Sign up at youtube.com/NFLST. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
For your next night out, make Aria, the acclaimed restaurant inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel, your dinner destination. Aria, nestled on the second floor of St. Kate, is an artful dining experience that captivates with its culinary creativity. Delighting in its offering of artisanal American cuisine, the restaurant transcends tradition and leans into the realm of playful and inventive flavors. Come and experience the magic of Aria, where every bite is a work of culinary artistry. Learn more and make reservations at aria@stkate.com.
Marquette Hall of Famer Tony Smith here. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Party people!
It's It's time to get this tailgate started and get you ready for the green and gold game. This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Now broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, ESPN legend John Anderson, and green and gold legend Ryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strofe.
Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe, and a couple of legends. It's Green Bay Game Day, another hour closer to kickoff. The Green Bay Packers season as they take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil tonight, a 7:15 kickoff here in the Central Time Zone. Excited to be joined now by the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. He is the host of Wilde and Tausch, weekdays 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin, and a legend in his own right. I don't know what the hell Brian Bulaga's doing, but I hear a lot of stuff clinking and clattering. Everything okay over there, Baloo?
I'm good. Sorry, had to pick something up.
Oh, okay. It's all right. We'll survive. Jason Wilde joins us now on Green Bay.
I know he was like putting stuff together for a big watch party he's got going on.
I didn't know if he was like getting the grill set. I didn't know what he was doing over there. Jason,
no
how are you, pal?
Here.
This is like the Brady Bunch. How many more squares can we get on this video feed?
Comfortably?
Where's Alice?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and you're like Marsha. Wildy.
We're big on timely references. We'll get Tausch on later to talk about Dallas. I'm intrigued. I've got like a big vertical space, but that means I got to stand in one spot, right? I can't really move around much. I got to stand still, and I got to get the wireless headphones for the next segment because apparently that's what the legends wear. And I'm just yelling into my iPad.
Yeah. Well, get up with the times, would you?
So, Jason, what is the number one thing? What's the thing you are curious most about heading into this game against the Eagles?
The defense. It's not even close. They obviously had the offense's number for most of the practices that we were at throughout training camp. We heard from the offense saying, I still can't believe Jaden Reed. I don't know him that well, but he and I apparently have hit it off because, man, was he giving me some grief for even questioning whether or not the offense was going to be ready to go. All I kept hearing was, well, we're not game planning for our own defense. So we'll see. They have game plan for the Eagles now, so we'll see what the offense does. But the defense owned them. And I've told you this. I think I told Strofe this too. One of my favorite interactions of training camp was asking Jordan Love if he was looking forward to this defense making other quarterbacks' lives miserable because they had made his miserable for most of camp. I want to see if they can actually do it because there is a vibe about this defense. There's an anticipation. There's an excitement about this defense that was not there for Joe Barry from the very beginning. There is a feeling of we are invested, we have bought in, but also the coaches have bought in to us as players and giving us a voice. So it is a very different culture. But again, we got to wait till we can actually see it happen because it doesn't mean anything if you give up 500 yards and 363 rushing yards to the Eagles tonight like you did in 2022 with Joe Barry.
Oof. Those are boy. Those are some numbers.
I'll take the under.
God, I hope so.
It better be. They're any good. Yes.
John, what about you? What are you most looking forward to seeing tonight? Is it the defense or is it something else?
Well, listen, since I hadn't seen number 44 there after Domofsky's description, first I want to see this kicker that if he's a foot shorter than Bulaga, he's a perfect circle. So I want to see that cat learn number 44 out there and make a kick, which will be great. But I think I'm like everybody else. I want to see if the defense can hold up. But I do have some curiosity about Jordan Love. The last pass I saw him throw was not a good one. So I would like to see him come out because I think more than anything, he's going to have to be great for the Packers to be great. I was visiting with Dan Orlovsky the other day, and I said, Danny, how good can Jordan Love be? Is that the same question as how good can the Packers be? Is that the same thing? And so I kind of want to see him, and it's not about earning $52 million. It's about being he needs to be your best player by far for that team to go anywhere. And so I kind of want to see where he is, because the defense is the trendy offense, and we got to answer with 5 of us here. I'll just go that I think his development is the key to all of this. And so I want to come out and I want to see what he will be. And I did say this, that the throw that he made against the 49ers, which was so bad, I think that was because we were so accustomed to Aaron being so good. If he had followed Brett Favre, we'd have gone, oh, yeah, I've seen that pass before. Try to fit it in there, right? And I think it was a product of 15 years of Aaron and not 15 years of Brett Favre. But so, yeah, I'm all in on number 10. I have to see where that falls, because I think that's the season is all tied up in that.
I think that's a really good point, John. And the word I've used all offseason when it comes to not only love, but the Packers offense in full is consistency, right? We saw the lowest of lows with that offense in the first half of last season. And then we saw, in retrospect, the highest of highs in the second half of last season. I would really just like to see them be close to that good, but consistently throughout the entire season, rather than the roller coaster ride we endured a year ago, because that was tough to watch some weeks. And then it was really, really, really fun to watch other weeks. So I'm totally with you on Love's consistency is the biggest thing I'm looking for. Gabe, I think you answered this with the defense, correct?
Yeah, it's the defense. But if we're talking offense, I want to know what Josh Jacobs is. Because 2 years ago, he was fantastic. And last year, look, it's the Raiders. They weren't a very good team, but he did not have a very good season. And with the Packers' offensive line hopefully trending in a good direction in terms of health, but still, we don't know what's at right guard. We don't know how healthy Zach Tom is at right tackle. I think the running game, which was so important to the streak they went on, 3 regular season games, 2 postseason games, Aaron Jones going over 100 yards in all of those, the running game is a really important part of why they got hot last season. And I'm curious to know if Josh Jacobs can be that consistent running back that they thought they were signing when they got him this offseason. Because the Packers aren't 100% sure. Otherwise, they would have given him a different contract. This is basically a 1 year and we'll see type of deal for Josh Jacobs.
That's a good point. Brian, I want to go to you quickly before we get to a break. You played with several different running backs in Green Bay. This is maybe one of the best running back external bring-ins, if that makes sense, rather than just calling it a free agent signing, that the Packers have ever made at that position. You played with several different running backs. Is it hard to adjust as an O-lineman to a new running back, right? When you have a guy like Aaron Jones who was there for years and years, you kind of know what to expect from him. What should we expect in terms of the communication and the consistency between running back and O-line?
Yeah, I think early on in training camp and there was probably a little bit of feeling out period because Jacobs ran a certain style in Vegas. It was a downhill duo double team type run scheme. There wasn't much zone. It wasn't full flow like LaFleur runs. So that takes time for linemen to understand where the cut points are going to be. Where are his eyes going? Is it like in this scheme, the running backs start front side and it goes back as the gaps close up. So that's different feel for everyone. Aaron Jones was fantastic at it. You saw him make cutback runs that were the backside B gap or A gap were wide open, and he would be flying third because he knew how to set up blockers and defensemen in the zone scheme. Jacobs hasn't really done that at Vegas. Obviously, he's had all training camp to kind of get that relationship built. So by now, they should understand the type of runner he is. And I think by just looking about how talented he is, and you saw him in the first preseason game, he had a couple good runs. Those were inside zones. They weren't outside zone runs. They were more his honey hole type runs, which is in between the A and B gaps. I want to see him in the outside zone scheme because that is the LaFleur bread and butter. It's outside zone. That sets up play action, and they always want to get outside the defense, get outside the tackle. So that'll be fun for me to kind of watch that, not just live, but when I'm watching it back on Monday or whenever they upload, it'll be fun. And that kind of brings me to always my most, favorite subject is the offensive line. Because
there you go.
Because you guys mentioned, Gabe, you mentioned it. This offense started ticking when the run game came alive. Right. And that is so important. And I'm not saying that Jordan Love needs a run game, but every quarterback needs some run game. The great ones always need some resemblance of a run game to keep all the heat off of him just having to throw the ball 50 times a game and be super accurate and keep the offenses moving. So that moves me on to the right guard position, which Gabe, you mentioned, and this is something I've been talking with Jason about for a long time now. Ever since they put Jordan Morgan as the number one right guard, then he got hurt with his shoulder. Sean Ryan got called out by the head coach for his conditioning. Where are we looking at that position right now, Jason? Like, is there any more insight that you have as the week kind of continuing on of who's going to be trotting out there with the ones at right guard? Because to me, like, you look at all the other positions, I feel good about the rest of the offensive line. Obviously, Zach Tom's health, I think he's okay. I don't think Flea and Doc would put him out there if they didn't think the pec wasn't healed. But the right guard position is the one that stands out.
Yeah, I'm still trying to recover from the external bring-ins and the honey hole.
We got a bunch of geniuses here. Yeah, a bunch of geniuses.
And then I just want to disagree with my little friend here, John Anderson, because I just thought, for me anyway, the thing that was shocking about the Love interception was that we thought Love was beyond that, and we probably shouldn't have, but that was the kind of throw that during that 10-game run that he had, he just didn't make those, right? And for him to make that mistake, I'm glad John brought it up, because there are going to be bumps in the road for him. And I think there's a portion of the fan base that kind of views him as he's arrived, he's going to be an MVP candidate, we're going to be a playoff team, and whether your name was Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre or David Whitehurst or Rich Campbell, they all had growing pains. Some came out of it and became great quarterbacks. Others obviously did not. And we'll see. I think Jordan Love's going to be very good. In terms of the right guard situation, I'm not in Brazil, and I'm not complaining about that. But apparently in the practice that they held, this quasi-practice where people were actually able to watch, which apparently is the only place that we can have practices now that the media gets to stay for in season is in Brazil. It sounds like Sean Ryan took all the snaps with the number one offensive line. So if my recollection serves, the not as popular as R75-75, I think when they first started doing the rotation thing, it was only like one series a half for him. So maybe that is what Jordan Morgan gets tonight. Again, Matt LaFleur was trying to keep that very close to the vest, but he did kind of hint that there would be some sort of rotation, but maybe it's very minimal for Morgan.
Interesting stuff there from Jason Wilde, Rob Domofsky here. Brian Bulaga, John Anderson, Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe. Wow, a lot of people today, Brian. Bear with me. It's week one. Knocking off the rust here, pal. Knocking off the rust. He was with us earlier in my defense. We got to get to a break. When we come back, though, Jason did note something there that I want to get to. We're treating the Packers like they've arrived after a playoff win last year. Let's dive into that a little bit deeper. Coming up next on Green Bay Game Day here on ESPN Wisconsin.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Looking for a better used car interest rate? At Ewald, we make it easy to save thousands during the used car rate reduction event. Get rates as low as 4.9% on Ewald Automotive Group's best used cars. 4.9% on over 600 vehicles at 10 locations. Increase your purchase power with a better used car from the name Milwaukee has trusted for 60 years. Don't wait. Get a better rate. Available to very well qualified customers. Up to $20,000 financed for up to 48 months. See dealer for details. Offer expires month end.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
September baseball is coming, and every Brewers game means even more this time of year. Get to American Family Field as the crew takes on the Rockies September 6th through the 8th. Get your seats now at Brewers.com.
Hey Milwaukee sports fans, it's Brad Nortman from Kyle Brust and Nortman. You've invested too much into that nice ride, so don't settle for a gas station car wash. Treat it to a Tsunami Express car wash. State-of-the-art wash technology, powerful free vacuums, and unlimited wash memberships. Now with 5 locations across Greater Milwaukee, Tsunami Express is your go-to spot for a flawless finish and a first-class car wash every time. Trust me, your car will thank you. Sign up for a membership online at TsunamiExpress.com and get your first wash free. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. If you're hosting a football party or heading to Green Bay or Madison for the game and a tailgate, we'll help you with your beverage game plan. We are your football party beverage headquarters. Whether you need an ice cold keg, a bottle of your favorite wine, a unique craft brew, or hard to find liquor, we have everything you need, all at the lowest prices in town. Come see us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow and Main in downtown Waukesha. Voted best liquor store again.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings.
We'll get you all set up with your favorite beverages for your football party and save you a lot of money. Open daily 9 to 9 and Sundays 10 to 2. Family owned and operated since 1960. See all of our weekly specials at DiscountLiquorInc.com.
Discount Liquor.
Are you looking for a reliable ride? I've got you covered. It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. I use AccuTrans Group for my private transportation needs during the college football season. AccuTrans is a veteran-owned business dedicated to providing unmatched corporate, personal, and event-related transportation that you will use again and again. From corporate travel and weddings to group events, AccuTrans Group caters to every occasion. Booking is easy, safe, and dependable. Visit AccuTransGroup.com to get a quote or to book a reservation today for reliable and safe transportation.
Station updates, show clips, and your place to interact with us every single day just by scrolling through your feed. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ESPN Milwaukee. You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Game Day leading up to kickoff. Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles. Week 1 of the NFL season is officially here. You made it. I'm Alex Strofe with Gabe Neitzel in the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Studio here on Green Bay Game Day, brought to you by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. We've got the wireless headphone gang with us here as well. The former Packers right tackle Brian Bulaga, of ESPN fame, the great John Anderson, and Wipeout fame. I know Jason would be upset if I didn't mention Wipeout at least once today to John Anderson. And Jason Wilde with us as well. Jason, you're a huge Wipeout fan.
Love Wipeout. Are these actually working?
They are. Your audio is a little bit worse. You sound like you're underwater, but we hear you.
Yeah, it goes.
Okay, good stuff here.
He's going to switch back.
That's what I've noticed. Dynamite drop in by Jason Wilde. So Jason mentioned something in the previous segment about, people are kind of acting, Packers fans are acting like the Packers have quote unquote arrived after a playoff win a year ago and a really nice 3 quarters against the eventual NFC champion 49ers. John, I want to start with you. I would guess, since you tend to lead pessimistically, you would say the Packers have not fully arrived quite yet entering the 2024 season?
So first off, I keep getting painted as the pessimist. All I'm saying is some people don't have the same scar tissue that I have in their life.
Oh, I know.
Sometimes that's why you wake up in the morning and you limp a little and do some of those other things. So that's all. Yes, I think that some of the people that I know and I visit with are out over their ski tips a little bit for the Packers. And the only reason I say that is because that I'm with everybody else. I think they're in a really good spot. I think they have really talented people. I think the schedule's favorable enough for them. There's all these good things, but you have to execute it. And there's a position where you could be 9-8, or you could just be 10-7, and have minimal. It could look kind of different, and you feel like the team's better, right? Like how many early on didn't Mike Holmgren have a couple straight 9-7 seasons?
Yes.
But you're like, that team was better every year as they got there. So I don't have to get totally involved in that. Just like if you go and you do well, like winning a playoff game is great, but you might not be able to win a playoff game because of who you get matched up. The Packers, as I recall, when you won the Super Bowl, right? They were a wild card team. The next year they went 15-1. And didn't get out of it, and then they lost the first one. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that has to go all the right way. So I'm totally thinking they are in a great spot. Everything's good. But you kind of have to, here you go. This isn't pessimist. This is the guy who went to school in Missouri. Show me. I need a little of that. And I don't need it for seven. Like, I think we can get a feel on that 6, 7, 8 games of where they are. And then I will be in a much better spot. But I do think there are some folks that might be a little bit out over the ski jump here on the 90-meter hill.
I couldn't agree with you more, John. And maybe it's because I do the show every day with Chewy, and he was on those teams that kind of took those small steps. Like, he was still a young team in '92 when they beat the Lions in the postseason. They made it the same distance with the same record the year after in '94, but they got to host a playoff game, and then they go to the NFC Championship game. And I know it's not always linear like that, the way it builds, but this is still the youngest team in the league. They've got one guy over the age of 30. And there's still growth that needs to happen. Maybe it's not much offensively, but certainly defensively, they're going to be relying on a lot of young guys in a new scheme. So there are going to be growing pains this year. And last year, as fun as it was fantastic. It was great. There's still more growth that needs to happen. So I'm 100% there with you. I don't think it's just, hey, we're cruising to a 16-1 record this year. Let's go.
Green Bay Game Day with you here, leading you up to kickoff between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Coming up next, oh baby, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, you fellas are in for a treat. We play the world-famous game called Yes or No with Jason Wilde, a game in which Jason Wilde answered yes or no a total of 0 times last season. He answered yes or no 0 times.
Jason, are you going to keep the streak alive?
I am. By the way, don't buy generic AirPods. They just don't work. Don't do it. Just spend the extra money. If you've got the ESPN money or the NFL money, hey, spend it all you want. These are garbage. I'm done.
Okay. Well, we are back to the original setup for Jason Wilde in the Jason Wilde Hour, which continues with Yes or No with Jason Wilde. That's next, right here on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Nagging pain lasting for months, difficulty performing everyday tasks, not moving like you'd like, it's time to see the doctor. And I recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Anytime I've needed care, the appointments are timely, no waiting weeks to be seen, and no pressure to have surgery. It's about getting the right diagnosis and choosing a treatment plan that fits your life. No question where I turn if I'm injured again. The experts in care at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's orthowisconsin.com.
Green and gold fans, it's game day. And you know what that means. Tailgating with friends and raising a glass to our favorite team. This season, make Bacardi the star of your pregame party. Whether you're mixing up a classic Bacardi and cola, refreshing Bacardi lime and soda, or a smooth spiced and cola, Bacardi is the perfect pick for game day fun. Grab a bottle and get ready to cheer on Green Bay with the best in hand. Available now at your local retailer. Live passionately, drink responsibly. Bacardi USA, Miami, Florida. Rum 40% alcohol by volume.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977.
$1 million. That's big, really big. This September, Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee is handing out a cool million, and you've got a shot at winning your share. The big $1 million giveaway is here. Just play with your rewards card and you're entered to win. Couldn't be easier and couldn't be bigger. No wonder it's called the Big One. For more details, visit paysbig.com/big one. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
Jeff Levering here. How are baseball and Pella windows and doors of Wisconsin alike? Pella manufactures all their own products. Baseball teams develop their own players in the minors. Pella tests every product thousands of times to ensure it stands the test of time. A baseball player's ultimate test is to get called up to the big leagues, hoping to play well enough to stay. Right now at Pella, get as low as $18 per window and $81 per patio door per month. Certain restrictions apply. It ends September 30th. Visit PellaWI.com today.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher, and summer is here. But if you want your parking lots and asphalt to be ready for winter, you have to remember the 3 R's from Johnson & Sons Paving. Reseal every 2 to 3 years. Repair when you see signs of cracking or potholes. And replace if there's constant standing water, buckling, or sinking. Don't scare customers or tenants away because of a bad parking lot. Connect with Johnson & Sons today before minor repairs end up being huge headaches. Schedule an appointment at johnsonsonspaving.com.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Green Bay Game Day with you, leading up to kickoff. Packers, Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Week 1 of the NFL season has arrived. I'm Alex Strope alongside Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, Jason Wilde with us as well here on Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I'm proud of a lot of things in my career. Lots of things. As Jason Wilde just given us quite the Dancing with the Stars cast was announced this week. Jason should have been on it.
Yeah, I love how he was moving in and out of frame. It was almost kind of like the Collinsworth slide, except he was, like cha-chaing his way into frame.
It's the Wilde salsa, as they call that on Twitter. Like I said, I'm proud of a lot of things in my broadcast career. None more than what we're about to do right now. It is time to play the best game ever invented in the history of radio. It is time to play Yes or No with Jason Wilde.
Will today be the day there are black and white answers from our most respected journalist?
Possibly. I think we shouldn't be greedy. Maybe. You would certainly hope so.
It's time for Yes or No with Jason Wilde.
That gets me every time. Let's play some Yes or No with Jason Wilde. I've got 4 yes or no questions for the panel of Jason Wilde, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, and Gabe Neitzel. And as always, we will start with Jason Wilde. Jason, yes or no? Saquon Barkley is the Philadelphia Eagle that poses the biggest threat to be a game wrecker tonight.
Maybe. I mean, they've got a lot of different threats on their roster, right? I mean, A.J. Brown is a big threat. Dallas Goedert is a big threat. I am really curious to see what they do in terms of Jalen Hurts. I'm really curious to see if Jalen Hurts, with a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, kind of regains his form, because obviously during the second half of last season, things did not go well for him as they had the previous year when he was second in the MVP voting. So perhaps Saquon Barkley, but perhaps someone else.
Perhaps, he says. Those rules don't apply to Jason. They do apply to everybody else. John Anderson, I go to you. Saquon Barkley, the biggest threat to be a game wrecker.
No, Jalen Hurts is. We went over that. He's the guy that has it every down, and he can, especially if they run the mesh play, right? He could give it to Barkley if he'd like, but if he wants, he can hang on to it himself. So no, he is a quarterback that is every snap revolves around him first and foremost. So he's more important.
I'm surprised by the lack of Jalen Carter references so far on this show, matching up against Josh Myers tonight. I go to the former offensive lineman, Brian Bulaga. Is it Saquon Barkley, yes or no?
No, it's Hurts. I'm with John. It's Hurts. As I mentioned earlier, Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, throws the ball a bunch. What can happen when you throw the ball a bunch? The quarterback can run, get out of the pocket, scramble, make plays on the move. I think it's Hurts.
You guys are probably right, but I'm saying yes, just because, again, I've been having nightmares of Saquon Barkley like all week, of this whole idea of the Packers, trying to stop the run on their way to the quarterback just makes me think that they're going to be maybe a little over-aggressive. That opens up some running lanes for Saquon Barkley, and he's going to break off a couple of big ones. They're going to break the Packers back.
All right, there you have it. I say no. I'm really intrigued about that Jalen Carter-Josh Myers matchup. That worries me. Jalen Carter is really good defensively for Philadelphia, so I'm curious to see how that matchup plays out. But, of course, Saquon, very close to the top of that list for me as well. Question 2, Jason, yes or no, Jordan Love must play like a top 5 quarterback in week number 1?
Yeah, I don't know about that, because when you think about it, if he does play at that
was
level,
really close. He was really close.
Really
he
close
said,
to no.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you got really close to him giving a yes or no there.
I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him one of these days. Go ahead, Jason.
Maybe if you someday stop promoting it as the greatest bit in radio history.
I didn't call it a bit.
I'll consider giving an actual answer. But be that as it may, it could certainly be a game in which they need him to play like a top 5 quarterback. But look, they're going to give Josh Jacobs the ball a ton, right? Matt LaFleur keeps talking about how he's a high-volume back. Part of the idea, and I can't remember because there's like 17 people on this show right now, one of you said about how Jordan Love's success late last season happened when Aaron Jones was playing really well. And Aaron Jones had 5 straight 100-yard games. So while Jordan Love did play like a top 5 quarterback, he had his offensive line finally get its act together, and he had a running game that was being productive. I don't know if that's going to be the case tonight. If it's not, he's going to have to carry them.
John Anderson learning I am a very modest human being, specifically when it comes to this game, yes or no, with Jason Wilde. John, I go to you. Jordan Love must play like a top 5 quarterback week 1.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, gosh, I remember when I listened, Garrison Keillor had a good bit for a while on radio too, but I'm glad that you have decided to go beyond the folks in Lake Wobegon. I don't know if he has to be a top 5, but I think he always has to be better than average. And because we talk about how great the wide receiver core is, right? Okay, they're a skilled group, but he's the guy that has to make all of them better all the time. Unlike if you had Devontae Adams or if you had Calvin Johnson, you had somebody who was true number 1, and you can put anybody in there and like, if you can't throw to that guy, you can't play in the league. And so I think a little more is required of him because of that. I think he helps make all those receivers better. And I think the biggest thing they could do to help him, though, is just make sure that you turn around and hand it to Jacobs. And like Aaron Jones, if he touches it 22 times and he's in good stead and catches it 3 more, then they're probably in a good spot. I think Jacobs is maybe the second most important player on that team because just as Jason said, like when Jones was in and he was good, the whole operation went great. And when he was out, the whole operation was sputtered. So I don't know if he's got to be top 5, but he's got to be, how about top 10? Because he's got to make everybody better.
So I will take that as a no. You're doing your best Jason impression there. You didn't answer yes or no.
Love it.
Yeah. You guys are going to get along just fine. Brian Bulaga, I go to you.
I'm on the no train because I really think that the run game needs to hit. It needs to hit and needs to hit early. And I think that's, for me, when you're going against a team like Philly, that they also want to control the rock. They got a big physical offensive line there. Their kind of DNA is made up front on defense as well. You got to take it to these defenses. They want to get in the passing situations. They want to rush the quarterback. Vic Fangio's defenses are very aggressive getting after the quarterback. So you want to keep them on their heels and be able to run the football. So I don't think – I'm with John. I think, yeah, he needs to be good. He can't go into this game and have him play bad and think you're going to win. But I don't think he needs to be top 5 good. I'm all for – solid play and a great running game. So I'm a no on that.
I'm a
Gabriel.
no on this as well. I think it's eventually coming where he's going to have to be that guy once that extension kicks in. But as long as they are as deep as they are with the weapons that they have offensively, he doesn't have to be that top 5 guy right now.
A lot of mentions of Josh Jacobs. Let's do a fun one regarding Josh Jacobs. Yes or no, Josh Jacobs will break the NFL record for most receptions in a career without a receiving touchdown. For context, he is 6 receptions away from that record. He has never scored a receiving touchdown in his all-pro career, Josh Jacobs. 6 receptions away from breaking the NFL record for most receptions without a receiving touchdown. Jason, yes or no, does he break that record?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it's a real goal for Jordan Love to get him his first touchdown. Is he able to do it before he's caught 6 other passes that do not lead to a touchdown? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure at this point. And by the way, if we were a true team here, everyone would do this to you, not just me. And we would all give catchy answers just because of your arrogance about this game.
You'd notice Gabe and Brian are nice to me. I'll just throw that out there. John, I go to you on the Josh Jacobs stat.
Yeah, I don't have a yes or no. Who cares? Like, who keeps track of this stat? Like, whatever.
Somebody in the league office, apparently.
Right. Like, why is that a thing? You know, they used to have a great game called Timeout for Trivia, and they'd go like, Hank Aaron broke whose record for the most home runs? And everybody would go like, Babe Ruth. And the question was like, and whose record did Babe Ruth break? Like,
John, you anchored SportsCenter for 3 decades.
Who has the record and who had it before? Who cares? Like, this is not a thing. This is a thing that keeps our research people up and doesn't make television unless it's this. I don't give a rat's. Nobody cares.
John,
like, name the least impressive record of ever. Okay.
Dude, you're the one who delivered this information for how long during your time at sports? You were the guy who delivered this message.
I'm a guy who would have sat on that stat when they gave me, like, this means nothing. You know, we put stuff up every once in a while and get in arguments. I'm like, this doesn't mean anything. Why are we putting this on TV? There's no value in this. I mean, nobody's life is improved one way or another if this happens or not.
Do we know who has the current record? Do you have that information?
I do not.
Okay.
I'll have John's people talk to my people.
You don't ever know.
You almost made the professionals swear during the show, Alex.
I like how this is going. Brian, I imagine you care even less than John?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm just being real. Like, I don't care. He could. I don't even know. I don't even have anything to say about it because it's irrelevant. It really is. Like, it's irrelevant to me.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the last one.
Kind of like what? Kind of like what?
Kind of like what? Go ahead.
Finish the thought, Brian.
No, I'm saying that you have a show called Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, that's what this stat is. It's irrelevant.
Fitting.
Irrelevant.
Well, then it's fitting. Last one for you fellas. Jason, we'll start with you again. Yes or no? We will be impressed with Jeff Hafley's defense after week 1.
Boy, I hope so. And look, the by the way, the inactives are out, so we'll get to that coming up. But look, I think they need to be impressed. I think that group needs to play well from the jump. They've gotten all this buy-in that we've talked about. By the way, can we change the game to yes, no, or I don't give a rat's? Because I had never come up with before. But I do give a rat's on this because I'm really intrigued by this defense. Whether or not they're going to be at that level, I really don't know. And that's part of, Brian obviously played the game for over a decade. So he probably could go through a practice and, he had the benefit of watching film. But when I stand on the sideline and watch practice during training camp, I can see when an edge or an interior lineman beats his guy and is in Jordan Love's face for a potential sack or a pressure if they were tackling. But like the run defense, Gabe mentioned it earlier, and we learned this phrase from Brian, the idea of playing the run on the way to the quarterback. I don't know if that works or not. I also don't know if Josh Jacobs in this system is going to be the rushing king guy that he was 2 years ago or something less. So I am really eager to see this defense in action tonight. I'm eager to see if they do some different wrinkles, like taking Keyshawn Nixon out when they're in nickel, and bringing in Evan Williams to play safety and bringing Bullard down into the slot in kind of a big nickel role. These are all things that I don't know the answer to yet, and I'm eager to find them out tonight.
I think we're all with you. Very excited to see it. John, you think we're walking away impressed with Hafley after week one?
Man, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea, right? Remember Dom Capers, he had a shutout in his first game. Of course, it was preseason against the Browns, so that didn't really count. So, if there was a way to tell, this would be, how about next week? Can I answer this question next week after I've seen it once? How about that? I'll pass. I'll pass.
Can I answer?
I realize that I can't play this game with John Anderson and Jason Wilde both on the panel.
They've turned on you.
This is unfair.
John, Jason was already turned on you. Like John eased his way in, decided, you know what? I'm joining up with Wilde.
It's only because that other question was so stupid.
No, I think it's because Jason's been smooching John's behind for the last year about his wonderful performances on Wipeout. I think that won him over.
It's like we have an alliance now, and this is Survivor. We'll see if you're even in that box next week.
Oh man, you're gonna get voted off the show.
Good night.
All right, well that's week one of Yes or No with Jason Wilde in the books. I'm not even going to Bulaga and Gabe on that question because I'm irritated. Coming up next, we take a look at the inactives tonight for the Packers and the Eagles, brought to you by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. We also get Jason Wilde's game pick if he actually gives one. That's next. It's Green Bay Game Day on ESPN Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
The Island invites you to fall into golf with late season rounds at Sweetgrass or Sage Run. The vibrant fall colors and cooler temperatures make for great days out on the golf course. Fall golf rates run September 16th through the end of the 2024 season, with tee time starting at $75 and stay and play packages starting at $110. And submit your 2025 golf package request early to guarantee choice dates. Plan your fall golf adventure today at islandresortgolf.com.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. In 1995, Tito Beveridge built his very own distillery and put his life savings into it. Since then, he's won the unanimous Judge's Choice Double Gold Medal at the World Spirits Competition, the Chairman's Trophy for World's Best Vodka Tonic, and many others. Tito's Handmade Vodka is still made on the same land where he started it, all in Austin, Texas. Distilled from corn and gluten-free. Visit us at Tito'sVodka.com for recipes, videos, and more. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
September baseball is coming, and every Brewers game means even more this time of year. Get to American Family Field as the Crew takes on the Rockies September 6th through the 8th. Get your seats now at Brewers.com.
Dr. Aaron Holtebeck and his team at Holtebeck Eye Center make vision care a top priority with the latest technologies at their state-of-the-art Brookfield office. Dr. Holtebeck has been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. And now, Holtebeck Eye Center is excited to add Dr. Nausheen Abbas to their team. Dr. Abbas is an ophthalmologist and cornea specialist that will join the team starting in September. Located in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol, learn more about their services at holtebeck.com.
At Fleet Farm, we're proud to offer everything you need for everyday life. We're even prouder to offer it at the best prices guaranteed. Like Sprout Sweet Mix for livestock, on sale for $9.29. Or 2.5 gallons of diesel exhaust fluid, everyday low priced at $6.99. And if you happen to find a lower price, we'll match it. Any day, every day. Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life at the best prices guaranteed.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Spending more time at home? Don't forget that 94.5 ESPN's on your smart speaker. Just ask Alexa to open 94.5 ESPN. 94.5 ESPN on Alexa is presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Well, I don't think I'm completely defeated after Yes or No with Jason Weldy.
Just mostly?
I'm beaten down, I'm bruised, but I'm still here, I'm still kicking. It's Green Bay Game Day presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. That was the voice of Gabe Neitzel. I'm Alex Strobe, joined by former Packers right tackle Brian Bulaga, the wipeout legend, John Anderson, and from Wildy and Tausch, Jason Wildy with us to wrap up the Jason Wildy Hour. It is time now to look at the inactives for the Green Bay Packers. Today's injury report / inactives presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Visit orthowisconsin.com today for info. I kick it over to Jason Wildy.
Well, first of all, I don't think you should feel defeated because the whole idea behind not answering yes or no is that people want to hear more than yes or no on the radio or on YouTube. So I thought it was a fantastic piece of content, and I can't wait for next week. Secondly, in terms of the actual inactives, let's talk about the actives first. Emmanuel Wilson, their number 2 running back with A.J. Dillon out for the season, is active. So is Tucker Kraft, who was added to the injury report yesterday or 2 days ago as they traveled to Brazil with a back issue. So he is good to go. I'm eager to see what he does because he had a much more impressive camp than Luke Musgrave did, who was very quiet throughout camp. Maybe it'll be the reverse tonight in the game. Your inactives are Malik Heath, Marshawn Lloyd, Aaron Mosby, Brenton Cox, Kadeem Telfort, and Travis Glover. Little bit of a surprise that Malik Heath is inactive because obviously he is their 6th receiver and their best blocking receiver. It tells us that Andre Dillard is clearly, Brian, the swing tackle because Kadeem Telfort is not active. I think Travis Glover is going to be on that red shirt all year program that they've done with other offensive linemen. But Marshawn Lloyd's hamstring was not ready to go, so he will not be the 3rd running back tonight. Instead, it'll be Ellis Merriweather, who they promoted from the practice squad.
So the 1-2 punch of Jacobs and Wilson is likely what we can expect, given LaFleur's past years and using 2 running backs mainly, I would guess. Right, Jason? That's what you would expect?
If you hear me all the way from Green Bay and you hear me yell, Wilson, you'll know that he's got an opportunity to run the football.
That's your guy, Strofe. You're big Emmanuel Wilson guy.
So I have turned a new leaf on Emmanuel Wilson. I was really irritated last year in the playoffs when we were seeing extensive Emmanuel Wilson. But I got to be honest with you, Gabe. I was very impressed with him in the preseason. I am ready for Emmanuel Wilson to be the true 2nd running back for the Green Bay Packers. I've turned a new leaf. I'm all in on him. You okay with that?
I hope the Packers learn who's the fellow that was coaching the Raiders? You know, he gets on a team and then he about halfway through that 2nd season, let him go. McDaniel. That guy. Yeah, he coached about 22 games and then they get him out. Remember, he wanted to do that with Jacobs. He was like, okay, we're going to balance this. We're going to make this happen. We're going to split the duties and all. And then he realized, wow, Josh Jacobs is just really good by himself. And next thing you know, he had 1,800 yards. I hope the Packers are the same way. I hope they're like, you know what, this guy's really good. He's a horse. Let's use him in there all the time. And if we're going to spell him, it's going to be just very, because he just ran 60 yards, and we need him to get some oxygen. But I would hope that somewhere in there that that the backup running back position is truly that he's the backup and he is not a 60-40, even 70-30 split time kind of guy.
I get your point. It's just not very LaFleur-esque, at least in past years, right? I remember constantly.
And it wasn't McDaniel.
Yeah.
It wasn't McDaniel either. And then he was like, ooh, wait a minute. That we should do that.
Although
right?
it's not like they were really split. I mean, Wilson certainly in the postseason got a few touches. But they were riding Aaron Jones
over that 5-game stretch.
Over that 5-game stretch.
Best 5-game stretch of his career.
Again, maybe that's not very LaFleur, but maybe LaFleur learned something with Aaron Jones last year.
So maybe, like me turning a new leaf with Emmanuel Wilson, Matt LaFleur has turned a new leaf by riding his best running back.
Only one way to find out. Yes or no, they're going to actually do that.
No. We go to Jason Wilde before we let him go to wrap up the Jason Wilde hour. Jason, how do you see this one playing out tonight? A game pick with a winner, please.
Yeah, first of all, I think the answer there might have been yes if you were inclined to actually say that, because here's the other question about Emmanuel Wilson. What is he in pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield? So they're going to have to figure out where they're going to spell Josh Jacobs. Maybe it's on an occasional first and second down so he can be on the field on third down where they might feel more comfortable with his pass protection. I think the Packers win this game. I told you this on whatever we're going to rename the podcast that you and I do, that weekly Wildy thing. Chris Strauss suggests we call it Maybe the Podcast, which is not a bad idea.
It's not a bad suggestion. It's not half bad, actually.
I love it.
But be that as it may,
could you maybe give us a game pick?
He did.
I think. Yeah, he's not listening. He's just mad at me now. I've embarrassed him in front of all of his friends.
In front of all of his friends.
I think their defense is going to rise to this challenge tonight. My gut tells me that this defense is the real deal, but I don't have the evidence to back it up. And I could be coming on Green Bay Game Day post-game admitting that I was completely wrong and that they got gashed for a bunch of yards and they couldn't stop A.J. Brown and they had all kinds of issues containing Jalen Hurts. And suddenly we're like, oh, it's Joe Barry 2.0. I want to leave you with this, even though I'm picking the Packers. There was a game when Aaron Rodgers, after Mike Patton's first game, was it, Gabe, or was it after Joe Barry, where he said, we got a defense. And then it turned out that they didn't really have a defense.
Yeah, that was the Bears in 19. It was against the Bears in 19.
Yeah, so that, and then it turned out as the season went on, they didn't have a terrible defense. They had a really good right tackle on that team, if I remember, but they didn't have a great defense.
Absolutely.
They had a decent defense. We'll see if this is anything more than decent, but one game will not decide that one way or the other.
Fair enough. That's Jason Wilde, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. You can catch him on Green Bay Game Night after the game, and, of course, Monday through Friday on Wilde and Tausch from 9 to noon with Mark Tauscher. Jason, appreciate the time as always, brother.
Am I going to share the Wilde Hour with all these people every week? Is that the plan?
The four of us every road game, yeah. Every road game.
This is fantastic.
Perhaps.
Let's go.
Maybe.
I guess we'll find out, Jason.
I knew I could count on you, John Anderson. All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
Thanks, Jason. That was really well done by John. We still got an hour and 15 minutes with these two knuckleheads, Gabe. John Anderson, Brian Balaga, Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe. We're going to make it.
Man.
We're going to make it. What?
Hey, you're calling a Super Bowl champ and a Sports Center legend knuckleheads?
Would you guys disagree with me calling you knuckleheads?
No.
That's fine with it. It wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, stop kissing behind, Gabe.
No, usually my mom's always like, yeah, you and all your dopey friends. Or when are you dopey coming out? So that's been that all my life, so that's fine.
Well, us four dopey radio hosts will continue into hour 3 of Green Bay Game Day. Coming up on the other side, lots of things to get to. We got to check out the Isla Resort and Casino best bets. We got to make our Gruber Law Office's one call. We got to talk about Jordan Love's big contract he signed this offseason heading into week 1. That's all still ahead. It's Green Bay Game Day on ESPN Wisconsin, leading you up to kickoff.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
Ever dreamed of teeing off inside American Family Field? Now's your chance with Upper Deck Golf. From November 7th through the 9th, experience a one-of-a-kind round of golf, hitting tee shots from the upper deck throughout the stadium to custom greens below. Enjoy VIP treatment with great music, cold beers, food, and golf challenges at the Clubhouse Festival inside the stadium. Upper Deck is open to all ages, but tee times are limited, so book now. Head to upperdeckgolfing.com to book a tee time today.
True Chicago-style pizza is thin, crispy, and cut into squares. And thanks to Connie's Frozen Pizza, you can enjoy a true slice of the city. You'll enjoy it so much you won't even mind where it comes from. Connie's Frozen Pizzas are made from the same cornmeal crust Connie's has been serving for over 60 years. They're perfectly cheesy, perfectly saucy, and they're exactly what you crave. Get to know the true Chicago style with Connie's Frozen Pizza. Born in Chicago, loved by cheeseheads. Available in a freezer aisle near you.
Are you looking for a reliable ride? I've got you covered. It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. I use Accutrans Group for my private transportation needs during the college football season. Accutrans is a veteran-owned business dedicated to providing unmatched corporate, personal, and event-related transportation that you will use again and again. From corporate travel and weddings to group events, Accutrans Group caters to every occasion. Booking is easy, safe, and dependable. Visit AccuTransGroup.com to get a quote or to book a reservation today for reliable and safe transportation.
There's a good chance you're on a budget. We all are. But she wants a diamond. You know it. I know it. And Robert Hack Diamonds knows it too, because they offer a huge collection of lab-grown diamonds, and they sell them at crazy prices. How about 2-carat total weight diamond studs for $8.95? Robert Hack Diamonds can get any size, shape, or clarity in natural or lab-grown diamonds. Don't buy until you call Robert Hack Diamonds. $8.95 for a 2-carat pair of diamond studs. Oh, baby! Robert Hack Diamonds in Greenfield and in Brookfield. Why overspend when you can save at Robert Hack Diamonds for the same diamond you're looking for? Some jewelers are charging nearly $5,000 for a lab-grown diamond. Not Robert Hack. Your visit will be worth it, and she'll think so too. Robert Hack also offers repair services and cash for your old gold. But remember, before you do anything, as I did, RobertHackDiamonds.com, and visit them in Brookfield or in Greenfield.
Hey, it's ESPN Wisconsin's Kyle Walsh for Universal Windows Direct. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, get 2 free. Buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, get 4. Call 414-410-2000 to schedule your free in-home estimate today. And remember, football season is here and cooler temps are on the way, so do not wait. For every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free plus 0% financing for 60 months. That is 5 years. Restrictions apply. For the last windows you'll ever need, go to uwd.com, and like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Gabe Neitzel here. Catch Jen, Gabe, and Chewy mornings 7 to 9 on 94.5 ESPN, WKTI, and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Party people!
It's time to get this tailgate started and get you ready for the green and gold game. This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Now broadcasting live from the Groover Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, ESPN legend John Anderson, and green and gold legend Ryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strofe.
Just over an hour away from kickoff, Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles, week 1 of the NFL season in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm Alex Strope, that's Gabe Neitzel. Legends or knuckleheads, whatever you want to call them. John Anderson, Brian Bulaga with us as well. John just says, yep, both work. You take legend? I don't think you like legend.
I hate legend.
I don't like it either, because I'm not one. I was a guy. So.
You weren't a Jag. You were a first-round pick. You were a Super Bowl champ. You weren't just a guy.
That's all I wanted to be. Just part of the chain, man.
All right.
link in the
Same
chain.
thing. Just show up every day and do the job. That's
Fair
all we
enough.
needed.
Fair enough, you legend. Well, another guy. Go ahead,
We were
Brian.
called grunts. We were grunts. We did the grunt work. That was what our job was. I mean, that's, you had your superstars. Bakhtiari, left tackle superstar. Sitting TK, you could call them super. I mean, I was just a grunt, man. I was a link in the chain, do my job. And that's what I did. Legend,
He's attempting to epitomize like the bring your lunch pail to work type guy. That's what Bulaga's trying to make the case for right now, which I appreciate. All right, guys. Speaking of superstars, Jordan Love seems like he is getting there right after a really good second half of last season. This offseason, he became the highest paid quarterback in the NFL in terms of per year. $55 million a year is what Jordan Love will make now as the franchise quarterback of the Green Bay Packers after a really impressive second half of last season. We've talked about this all offseason, all four of us on the various shows you hear us on. But I just want to ask flat out, what are the expectations now for Jordan Love after becoming the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League? Gabe, I'll start with you.
For me, again, because he's going to be the highest paid, because that, some of that money certainly kicks in this year, but the real money isn't really starting to kick into the next year and the year after that. So the expectation for me is continue the growth. Yes, you are going to have to be a top 5 difference-making type of quarterback eventually with this contract. That's the way it works. That's why you get this money, is because that position you can make such a big difference. As long as he continues to improve on and continue to work on that consistency, compared to last year, that's going to be good enough for me this year. I think we need to continue to have him have that growth and continue to take those steps forward.
John, I'll go to you. What are the expectations for Jordan Love here in 2024 in your mind?
I would do the worst thing he can do is try to live up to that. Like, I have to do this. I have to do $52 million worth. And I think that's the first place that can get you in trouble. Play like the guy, and I'm not saying you got to play like a pauper. Like I'm going to play like I'm still, making my own lunch and taking it my will. But if you start chasing that, that's really bad. The other thing is that's temporary, that title, because next year somebody else will have the title
100%.
of highest paid quarterback. So don't get hung up on any of that. Go out, play like you did the last 10 games. Don't throw the interception you did against San Francisco. The other things just come gradually. The more times he sees everything, the better he's going to be. So it really is. I saw who am I? Am I Saban or am I Belichick? Just trust the process. LaFleur looks like he knows what he's doing. Looks like he knows how to develop that. Smart wins a bunch of games, right? Smart wins over talent a lot of times. Be smart first. Let your talent shine, but be smart. And then I think he'll be just fine. I think he'll play up to that number eventually. He will be a difference maker. His skills are just like that. He just has that, right? He is gifted in other ways other guys are not. So let those talents just, overcome, take you through, but be smart. But don't chase. If you just keep thinking, boy, I got to pay, I'm making $52 million. That wasn't a $52 million throw. It can be those can be long games and long years.
You make it a mental game. I think that's a good angle to take on it. Brian, to you.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with the last two kind of descriptions of it, because I'm with Gabe. I just want to see growth. I want to see that same positive growth that we saw throughout the last season. And you just don't want him to now, kind of like John was saying, like, I'm making $55 million. I got to play like a $55 million man. Like I got to try to be, and I'm not saying that he thinks this or he should think it, or I'm not trying to compare, but I got to start making throws and changing games like Aaron Rodgers right now. I got to start doing it. I got paid like him. I got to start making plays like him. And that's not what we want. And that's not what he needs to do. Just continual steady growth. And that development will take him to a point where that is what we're talking about him and what we expect from him week in and week out. But there was always going to be growing pains last year. And I said it at the end of last year, there's going to be growing pains going into this year. That's just the way it works in the NFL. You don't figure it out in 1 year, especially at the quarterback position. It takes time. Yeah, you got the big reward. And you know what? like John said, next year, that's not going to look like anything because someone else is make his contract next year. So, and in 3 years, that contract's going to look like a bargain. And so you just continue to grow, and we're going to see him become that type of player, and because he's got the skill set.
And can I just interject real quick too? And that's just the cost of doing business that position anymore, right? That's just what it is. You know, when guys, it used to be that you could be number one pick Sam Bradford, you get all up front in year one before he hadn't played at all. So at least we've seen 17 games out of this guy that we don't in some of the other ones.
Yeah, and look, taking that next step forward is huge. I mean, everybody thought and just assumed last year that we were going to see that step forward down in Jacksonville from Trevor Lawrence, and they kind of sputtered, right? They missed the postseason. He made some bad throws late in the season. Again, there's probably a million reasons why that happened, but just because you have a good half a season doesn't mean you've arrived. There's still more growth, as Brian said, that needs to happen.
I think you could almost make that case, especially in the second half of the season with the quarterback Jordan Love is going up against tonight, and that's Jalen Hurts, right? He appeared in the Super Bowl and second half of last season, albeit not all his fault, really wasn't pretty down the stretch.
Yeah, and they had some things I don't think the Packers are dealing with. Like there was a great piece at ESPN.com that was released earlier this preseason about the dysfunction that happened within that organization and their head coach stepping in, and to the point where the players didn't know who was calling plays. Was it their offensive coordinator? Was it Nick Sirianni? And it seems they're trying to fix some of those things. So I don't think Jordan's going to have to deal with that because while his head coach is the play caller, you're not going to have to deal with the dysfunction that the Eagles had to deal with.
Yeah, and
which is good for him.
Yeah, you're totally right, and hopefully those the Eagles dysfunction continues into tonight. But one more point on Jordan Love, which I think gets overlooked, right? We understand how he elevated his play and how miraculous he looked at times down the stretch last season. But let's not forget about the skill position players around him. Those young receivers in year one and year two last year, the way they stepped up once that playbook got opened. But Jordan Love elevated those guys too, and I think that speaks to the ascending superstardom path that Jordan Love is on, because he is he really elevated some young guns, and they've got now another training camp under their belt. So I'm excited to see the jumps for guys like Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and a healthy Christian Watson.
It all goes.
I am all about. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying, that all goes hand in hand with his development, right? The improvement of the skill guys outside, them being more comfortable. We've talked about it a bunch. John said it a bunch. Aaron Jones being in the lineup, running the ball effectively. The offensive line actually remembering how to block the second half of the season. Everything works hand in hand so Jordan Love can perform the way he did. Like, it's not just on one guy to make the whole thing tick. That's impossible. It doesn't work that way in football, especially on offense. Because you got one guy not doing his job properly, it's a busted play, and that's just the way it goes. So, everyone has to do their little piece, and that's kind of, I think, where we're all getting at with, Jordan Love. Yes, his role is extremely important, but if not everyone else is coming along with you, offense is hard. So it's on everybody in that group to pick up their their end of the deal and carry it on.
It's like Herman Edwards said, takes 11 guys to score a touchdown, takes one guy to prevent it when it happens.
Good point.
I think that's part of the sign that I like about Jordan Love is he made these guys, because everybody's like, oh, where are we going to draft these people? Oh, these guys the wide receivers are better than we thought because they're not super high picks. Because even Watson was second round, is he made those guys better. And if you go look, Tom Brady, Troy Brown, I guess, name some guys that played with Tom Brady. It's really hard. Do you think Amendola was that great when he came into the league? He had one really great wide receiver, and that was Randy Moss by 2.5 seasons, right? And he caught 50 passes, 50 touchdown passes. They went crazy. How much money did Brett make guys like Billy Schrader or some of these other people, right? Aaron Rodgers, for all the times they said, they never drafted him number one. Right, because he just made everybody better. So we can spend our draft capital somewhere else, because that to me is the sign. Look at the Bears all the time. It was like, if we just could get Jay Cutler more weapons, it'll be fine. No, when is Jay Cutler just going to make all those other guys better? We'll go draft Kevin White or whatever at West Virginia needs. Right? No, but that's what I mean. So all these times, look at the Lions. How many times did they try to draw? Did they go ahead and try to find? They finally hit on Kelvin, but they had they took the kid out of USC, and they took
Mike Williams,
who passed away from Michigan State. Rodgers. I tried it again. What you really needed was You needed the quarterback to make those guys better. And that's what I think we really saw in those last few games, 10 games from Jordan Love, that made you think, okay, this is why he's good. Because he made all those guys really good. They're great. They're really good players, but he made them great players. And that's what I want from my quarterback.
Awesome point there by John Anderson. Brian Balaga, Gabe Neitzel.
By the way.
Oh, you're right. It is. but we saw proof in the pudding last year, and hopefully as we keep bringing up the word consistency, we see that all year with receivers that are still really young, right? Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks only in year 2 in their NFL career. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, Brian Balaga, John Anderson with you here on Green Bay Game Day. Coming up next, we take a look at our Gruber Law Office's one prediction for the upcoming game between the Packers and the Eagles, less than 1 hour away from kickoff on Peacock. If you are not in a watching area, Milwaukee, of course, being one of the home markets. But if you're listening to us in Madison, say, you got to watch it on Peacock. We will do our Gruber Law Office's one call coming up next right here on Green Bay Game Day.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. In 1995, Tito Beveridge built his very own distillery and put his life savings into it. Since then, he's won the unanimous Judge's Choice double gold medal at the World Spirits Competition, the Chairman's Trophy for World's Best Vodka Tonic, and many others. Tito's Handmade Vodka is still made on the same land where he started it, all in Austin, Texas. Distilled from corn and gluten-free. Visit us at Tito'sVodka.com for recipes, videos, and more. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey. Riding with you every mile since 1977.
The Island invites you to fall into golf with late season rounds at Sweetgrass or Sage Run. The vibrant fall colors and cooler temperatures make for great days out on the golf course. Fall golf rates run September 16th through the end of the 2024 season, with tee time starting at $75 and stay and play packages starting at $110. And submit your 2025 golf package request early to guarantee choice dates. Plan your fall golf adventure today at islandresortgolf.com.
Big players show up in big games. Touchdown! Donald Driver and Cousins Subs are no different. With the football season upon us, Double D and Cousins are teaming up to offer 80-cent delivery this Friday through Sunday on any order of $30 or more. Touchdown! Simply order your favorite subs and sides online or on Cousins mobile app, and we'll deliver them to you. And don't forget, we now offer Apple and Google Pay. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
Milwaukee College Prep, dedicated to closing the opportunity gap for children in Milwaukee, redefining what's educationally possible so more children can pursue their dreams. Join me, Good Karma Brand's founder CEO Craig Karmazin, and Milwaukee College Prep Thursday, October 17th, and take a stand in closing the opportunity gap for Milwaukee scholars. Your support means quality education accessible to over 2,000 scholars in Milwaukee's most challenged communities. Milwaukee College Prep is closing the opportunity gap. To learn more and purchase tickets, go to MilwaukeeCollegePrep.com and click support.
Guys, let's be honest. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Oak Creek on Howell Road, just south of Putes Road. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week, even Sundays. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
When you're high, you feel different.
Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Game Day, less than an hour away from kickoff. The first Green Bay Packers game of the season, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles down in Brazil. Eagles are 2.5-point favorites in this one. That's Gabe Neitzel. I'm Alex Strofe in the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio. Former Packer Brian Bulaga, John Anderson of ESPN with us as well, leading you up to kickoff at 7:15 tonight on Peacock and on your local NBC station in Green Bay and Milwaukee. It's time now to make a Gruber Law Office's One Call. Each of us going to make one prediction for the game, not a game prediction, but a prediction about the game. What was some of the ins and outs? Gruber Law Offices has a reputation for winning. Their experienced and powerful team works tirelessly to help people and families seriously injured in accidents by providing the best care and service. There is never a fee until your case is won. Gruber Law Offices has been serving the people and state of Wisconsin for over 35 years. Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all. Gabe Neitzel, we start with you.
I think the Packers are going to try to dedicate themselves to the ground game tonight. I think they are going to have some success, especially if they run behind Elton Jenkins on that left side. I am saying Josh Jacobs scores the first touchdown of the Green Bay Packers season.
Ooh, I like that one. Josh Jacobs into the end zone for the first score of the year. Brian Bulaga, your Gruber Law Offices, one call.
Ooh, well, I'm going to go optimism with the rookie kicker. I think he makes at least 2 field goals tonight.
Ooh.
And I think he is perfect from the spot
I was about
tonight.
to say the important part is there. Sure, he makes 2, but does he miss any?
Yeah. No. Like I'm talking about non-PATs. I think he makes 2 field goals, but I think he's perfect and everything else. So 100% on all his kicks tonight. I'm all in.
Before we get to John, I really hope you're right. I just don't know. I just don't know that I'm as confident as you are, Brian. I like your optimism there.
Hey, no one gets paid until you win your case, right? I mean, that's what this segment is. So I got to make the call, and that's the call. So we'll see if it pays off.
I sure hope it does. John, we go to you.
Did you specify, is Jones scoring on a touchdown catch or a touchdown run?
No,
it's really important to some people that he catches it.
That's true. Okay, goodbye. Touchdown run. I will say touchdown.
Come on.
Touchdown run. Thank you for making me clarify.
Well, John is really hung up on that record Josh Jacobs could break tonight. So
totally be great. Yep, can't wait. I'm going to go.
Think they'll stop the game if he breaks the record. Will they stop the game? Give him the game ball.
Probably give him the football. Yep. Although he will take that football. You know he will.
Oh
right?
yeah.
You know he'll take that one. It's not like Emmitt Smith who has all 4,000 of his. He'll take that one. So I'm going to go. I'm going to channel my inner Al Davis, because the quarterback must go down and must go down hard. If they get to Jalen Hurts and sack him 3 times, they win. If they get to him 4 times, they'll win by a touchdown. If they get to him by 5 times, they win by double digits.
I like that.
That's a staggered one. That thing's got layers.
That's really good.
That's great.
I really hope they get 5 sacks, just so we can see how that works out.
Let me tell you, the matchup that I will be watching closely is Lane Johnson, the right tackle, versus Rashawn Gary. That Lane Johnson is a fantastic right tackle. He's been one of the best, if not the best in the league for at least the last 3-4 years. Obviously, we all expect Rashawn Gary to be a game wrecker. That's a matchup to watch all night long, so I think that's going to be a great duel between those two.
Good insight from the Packers' former right tackle, Brian Bulaga. There, my one call, I will stick with the defense, just like John. I think the Packers' defense forces 2 turnovers tonight in game 1 of the Jeff Hafley era. I'm going to say 1 interception, 1 fumble. 2 turnovers by the Packers defense tonight, which would indicate a good start to the Jeff Hafley era. Look, we just know nothing about this defense, and neither do the Philadelphia Eagles, which I hope works to the Packers' benefit tonight. And I think, you get what you emphasize, and what Jeff Hafley has emphasized the most is creating turnovers. So I will say the Packers with 2 turnovers defensively tonight. Those are our Gruber Law Offices 1 calls, brought to you by, of course, Gruber Law Offices. Brian, I want to go back to the battle that you're watching tonight, because you said we're expecting Rashawn Gary to be a game wrecker. Right to start off the show, one of the first things Gabe Neitzel said is he is not yet a Rashawn Gary believer. What gives you confidence that this is the year Rashawn Gary can take it to the next level on the edge for the Packers?
I think it's the scheme and what's being asked of him and what's being required of him, and compared to the last few years in the Joe Barry, 3 down, stand up outside linebacker scheme. It's tough for pass rushers, especially guys with that mindset. And I remember talking to Clay about it a bunch as well, in that scheme where they have to drop into coverage and have certain responsibilities that don't really fit pass rushers, right? Like when you look at this defense and we look at it around the league, and we'll go right to the team that beat us in the playoffs last year, the 49ers. What does Nick Bosa do? Nick Bosa attacks all game. He's not dropping into coverage. He's not, he's always going forward. He's setting really hard edges in the run game, which is playing the pass and stopping the run at the same time, because he's setting hard edges that running backs can't get outside of, and he's attacking the quarterback. And that's kind of why I expect Rashawn to play so well, because that's the mindset that he's going to have going into with this defensive scheme, is attack-minded. Yes, you got to play the run. I'm not saying they just don't even look at that, but the way that you blow up run plays, especially the way Philly does it, is penetrating, eating up linemen with penetration in the backfield. And when it's not a run, you're already halfway there to the quarterback and you go. So that's kind of why I think Rashawn's going to, turn it up a notch this year. So I'm excited to watch it.
How about give me your expert opinion here, because Jason Kelce became like this superstar, right? At podcasts, he's exploded. He's the most popular center in the history of the world. But he's been an all-pro, and he was really good. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame, and he's not there. How big is that spot to replace for them?
I think it's important. I think it's a big spot. I mean, yes, he was very good in space. He was a good block. You always saw him downfield blocking, but there's more to the center position than just getting out in space and blocking linebackers. It's the relationship with the quarterback. The quarterback trusts what the center's saying, making IDs, making adjustments within the pre-snap routine when defenses are changing. So there's a lot of responsibility on that position. And that whole unit, that Philly offensive line, they trusted everything Kelce said. He'd make a call, he'd make an ID. They were all on board with it, and so is the quarterback. And when you put someone new in there you trust the guys you play next to, but have you seen it in the real deal, right? When bullets are flying, are you making the right calls? Are you able to make the adjustments? And that's kind of why they could potentially struggle a little early on, because that is such a vital part of an offense. And I say it all the time, do I think, and obviously I'm good buddies with Corey Lindsley, who was my center forever. No, center isn't the hardest position on the offensive line, but I'll be damned if it's not the most important, because they are always touching the football. They're making all the IDs. They're in constant communication with the quarterback, and they're making sure everyone's on the same page before the ball snapped. So it is vital that you have a center that can pass information along and also make adjustments on the fly as defenses are moving and changing and the picture's a little murky. So it's a big deal that he's not there anymore, because they relied on him for a lot.
Is the tush push dead?
I'll declare it dead when I see it.
They're still huge up front, so I don't think it's dead. I don't think it's dead.
He's also a large man as the tush push runner. I mean, Jalen Hurts is not tiny. I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
So do you think we'll see it tonight, Gabe?
Yeah.
Of course we will.
Okay. Yeah. Just making sure. Just wondering, because that took over the league last year. It's Green Bay Game Day with you on ESPN Wisconsin. Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe, John Anderson, and Brian Bulaga with you. Coming up next, we take a look at our best bets, brought to you by Island Resort and Casino. Where are we playing some action tonight? I've got a good one for you. That's called a tease. We'll talk about it next. Green Bay Game Day on ESPN Wisconsin.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
Hey sports fans, looking to level up your next private event? V Private Bar Services is your game changer. Move beyond the ordinary. V Private Bar Services crafts custom cocktails tailored to your brand and your guests' taste. Imagine a bar experience that's as unique as your business. Our expert mixologists will create a memorable experience that your clients and team will rave about. From signature cocktails to full-service bars, we've got you covered. Be the MVP of your next event. Visit vprivatebar.com to book today.
Stay up to date on the green and gold all season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
WTMJ's Brandon Snide for Wisconsin Harley-Davidson as they are hosting their third annual Medal of Honor ride this Saturday, September 7th. Join NAM Knight's Bruce City chapter for a ride from the War Memorial Center in Milwaukee to Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc. Enjoy music, food, and vendors supporting our veterans and police officers. Registration begins at 9 a.m. with the ride leaving at 11. Check out their website, wishd.com, or like and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Wisconsin Harley-Davidson, your destination dealer.
For love of the game.
There's nothing like being selected to the Olympic team.
And love of their country.
Championship of that level, gold medal, means more.
Tune into Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Inside stories from Bucks stars on the agony and triumph of competing to win it all at the Olympics. It's Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Kyle Wallace. Right now at Universal Windows Direct, get 0% financing for 60 months, restrictions apply. For the last windows you'll ever need, go to uwd.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Whether you're about to graduate high school or have been in the workforce for years, it's time to take control of your future. Welcome to Lakeland University, where you call the shots. We use our flexible learning formats to customize your degree path. In-person, online, and virtual classes are all available. Lakeland University is designed around you, your goals, your schedule, your future. You can even earn up to 25% of your degree via paid work experiences. Ready to take control of your future? Let us customize an education to fit your needs. Visit lakeland.edu/ESPN to learn more.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Green Bay Game Day rolls on ESPN Wisconsin. What's the math on that? About 40 minutes from kickoff? Yeah, that's the correct math. I'm Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, former Packers right tackle Brian Bulaga. with us as well. Time now for our best bets, brought to you by the Island Resort and Casino. The Island Resort and Casino is a premier resort destination, the largest north of Milwaukee, with everything you like to do in one awesome location. Visit islandresortandcasino.com and book your total experience today. Before we get to each of our best bets, I am curious on this one. So the over-under on the game is 48.5, and looking at the book, each team over-under, individual team over-under is 24.5. So I want to ask the panel, do you like the Packers going over or under 24.5 points tonight?
Well, in the game score that I gave and was put up on a social media graphic on ESPN Milwaukee and ESPN Madison, I had the Packers at 24 points. So I had them right around that number, but I guess I'm saying they score under that number.
24.5. John?
Over.
You think there's going to be some points tonight?
Yeah, I can't tell you since I'm supposed to not give away my game prediction yet. But yes, there'll be more than
Final score 72-0 from John Henderson.
It won't be that. It'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, well, or 73-0. Of course, you remember that was the Bears famously over the Washington Redskins in an NFL title game. I wasn't alive for that, but I look things up.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. You're right. Brian Bulaga, 24.5 points for the Packers offense.
I like over that. I think there's going to be offense in this game.
I hope you're right.
And that kind of like, and I think there's going to be offense between both teams. And like we talked about this with our defense, that we all can't jump off the ship if they give up some points tonight. Like I understand that we feel good about it in training camp. They did really well against our offense. But if they give up some points tonight, it doesn't mean like, here we go again. Like that shouldn't be the mentality. It's going to take these players more than a game to get adjusted to the system. I understand that's what training camp, like, okay, I understand that. But they played 4 snaps in preseason to really feel good about it against a live opponent in a game situation. The joint practices were one thing, and they had a good joint practice against Baltimore, but it's still not the real thing. So let's, like, as optimistic as I am for this defense, if they give up some points tonight, I'm not in panic mode at all. I think it's going to take longer than a game to see what they really are, but I think Green Bay is going to score some points tonight. I think they're going to have a good showing.
I'm a little slap happy with the game I watched last night between the Chiefs and the Ravens and how good of a product we saw, right? Like early in that game, you saw offense, and then it was defense.
Oh, really? You saw that early? I saw referees early.
That too. But Xavier Worthy and Derrick Henry getting on the board in the first quarter, it just had me craving an offensive shootout tonight between the Eagles and the Packers, although I would be okay with a one-sided shootout tonight in Sao Paulo, Brazil. One more group bet before we get to our individual best bets. This is total yardage. So this is receiving and rushing, John, for Josh Jacobs. The line is 89.5 yards for Josh Jacobs, all-purpose. Gabe?
I'll go over that. I think the Packers are going to be feeding him the rock tonight. I think he's going to have a good game for the Packers.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would also take the over. John, I'll go to you. 89.5.
I think it has to be over if they're going to win. So, and I think I think that they'll score more than, if they're going to score more than 24.5, then he needs to be over that number.
I love the expectations for Josh Jacobs from this panel today. I mean, we have high hopes, all of us. No, you're right.
By the way, did you see, because now, I'm now free to watch other programs. Over there on The Facility, that's that new FS1 show, right? And that's where my boy Chase Daniel, the great Missouri quarterback's on there. Shady McCoy, former Eagle, he listed his 5 best running backs for this season. He had Josh Jacobs at number 2.
Wow.
Ooh, like that.
Number 1 being McCaffrey, I assume?
Yep, we're not the only ones that just are crazy. Like that's a legit dude, and he's played the position. So Shady McCoy's got him at number 2. I'm gonna go with Shady. I'm going 89. I'm going over 89.
I love that, and a guy that spent some time up front blocking for some pretty good running backs. I think he's going to pick the over too, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. Brian?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over because I personally think, especially all-purpose, everyone's expecting him to have a big role running the football, which obviously he is. He's the running back. but I think he is going to be utilized out of the backfield more than what people may expect. And we saw it in the first game against Cleveland. He caught that swing pass out to the left. He makes one guy miss, and he's 30, 40 yards down the sideline by himself. He's got to start making one guy miss in open space as a receiver, and we could see huge potential from him there. So, yeah, I am over the 89.5 total purpose yards.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur has always been, applauded for his ingenuity and his creativity offensively. I think a former All-Pro like Josh Jacobs is going to allow him to do some really fun things with these young guns alongside him, right? You think of Jaden Reed and all the jet sweeps they ran with him, probably overkill last year, but all the different things they did with him out of the backfield and all the other young receivers and tight ends that will play a big role this year. So really excited to see Josh Jacobs' role on this offense because, as you guys mentioned, we didn't really get to see any of it in the preseason. He played 3 plays in the preseason. All right, let's dive into Best Bets, brought to you by Island Resort and Casino. I will go first. You mentioned earlier, Gabe, you think Josh Jacobs will score the first touchdown for the Packers offense. Respectfully, I disagree. I think Jaden Reed is going to score the first touchdown in this game, the aforementioned Reed. That is plus 1,100, so $10 would net you $120 for a Jaden Reed first touchdown in this game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Gabe Neitzel.
I'm going Christian Watson over 38.5 receiving yards.
He might get that on one catch.
That's what I'm saying. I think especially when he's healthy early in the season, we saw in a couple of the big games last year when you really started to believe in the Packers is when they beat the Lions on Thanksgiving, and then the very next week were able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Christian Watson had huge games in both those contests when he's healthy. I think Matt LaFleur wants to get him the football because physically speaking, he's the most talented receiver they have with the physical gifts that he has. So I think they're going to give him the football. I think he's going over 38.5.
John Anderson.
Well, I'm trying to think if I should go over 2 on hamstring pulls for Christian Watson. That's a sort of bugaboo with mine. I can't see.
What book is that? But what book is that? Christian Watson over 1.5 hamstring pulls.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we could probably get. Listen, you could. I bet you could find that. I'm just saying, in the way it is. So oddly enough, I jotted down 2 because I'm very much on Christian Watson over 38.5, but I'll take him under on the 3.5 catches.
Ooh.
Okay. So, I like that.
Yeah, I don't think he is in there, but I think, and I'm with you. I think he gets 38.5, and I think he gets them all in one ball. And he may catch another one. He might catch 2, but I'll take the under on 3.5. I'll take the over on 38.5.
Fascinating thought process on that one. I like it from John Anderson. And I'm with both you guys. I think if 38.5 is pretty low for a guy that poses such a threat vertically. Brian Bulaga, we go to you.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at a couple different ones here, and I think they have Wicks at 28.5 receiving yards. If I'm seeing now I got the Hard Rock. I'm in Florida. That's all I can use. But they have him at 20. Is that the same as you guys have?
Yeah, that's what I have in front of me. Yep.
Is that the same?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the over on that. I think he's gonna have a monster year. Obviously we have a lot of good weapons, but I think Wicks is gonna have a monster year. I'm taking over 28.5 on him.
I love that pick, actually. I'm with you completely for a breakout year for Dontavian Wicks, although I don't know how early it will be. He was not running always with the ones in preseason / training camp. Everybody overreacted, Gabe. I know you remember doing this because I did it, to training camp snap counts. Mm-hmm. I think he only got like 4 of the 32 first team reps.
That was on family night when they had 30 some odd snaps and he had 6 of the snaps with the number 1 offense. Yeah.
I love a little overreaction to family night.
Hey, this Cleveland game, who caught the deep bomb? It was Wicks. Mm-hmm. So Love's going to throw him the rock. So we'll just put it that way. He can stretch it deep. He's a good possession guy. 28.5. I love it.
I do too. Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga with you. We've got 2 segments left. We're a half an hour away from kickoff. I want to talk about both the free agent acquisitions a little bit more because I'm fascinated by Josh Jacobs.
No, we're actually calling him free agent acquisitions now?
Well, I was trying to allude
Not
to...
extended.
Yeah. Well, whatever the hell I call it. I was calling it that with Eddie Lacy in mind. because
he was a draft pick.
That's what I'm saying. But he was new to the team when Brian was already an established right tackle. You see where my thought process was there?
That's why I'm making fun of it.
I totally got it. I'm totally on page. I'm on board with it.
All right, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna go to commercial break. I'm gonna make these guys shut up. We're back with you in a few. It's Green Bay Game Day on ESPN Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Green and gold fans, it's game day. And you know what that means. Tailgating with friends and raising a glass to our favorite team. This season, make Bacardi the star of your pregame party. Whether you're mixing up a classic Bacardi and cola, refreshing Bacardi lime and soda, or a smooth spiced and cola, Bacardi is the perfect pick for game day fun. Grab a bottle and get ready to cheer on Green Bay with the best in hand. Available now at your local retailer. Live passionately, drink responsibly. Bacardi USA, Miami, Florida. Rum 40% alcohol by volume.
Sometimes it feels like you're down in the fourth quarter with the game on the line. Don't let your car care fumble your day. Score a touchdown with Tsunami Express Car Wash. Their state-of-the-art tunnels and free vacuums make cleanup a breeze. And their detail centers give your car an MVP shine. It's a game-winning drive every time. They're making it even easier to score big across Wisconsin with a 7th location now in Midtown Milwaukee. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat. Sign up online for your first wash free at TsunamiExpress.com.
It's one thing falling in love with a house, picturing yourself moving in and calling it home, and quite another navigating the world of price negotiating, mortgage lenders, and finding the budget that works best for you. An agent who's a Realtor can make understanding that world easier. Realtors have the expertise, access to proprietary data, and tools to help you get from imagining living somewhere to actually doing it. That's the kind of help we can provide. Because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde. Our family loves when Kringle from Racine Danish Kringles arrives at our home. And now football season has arrived. So try the green and gold Kringle. Traditional pecan Kringle and cheesecake Kringle topped with green and gold sprinkles. A crowd pleaser at any game day party. Order today at Kringle.com or 1-800-4DANISH. Easy to remember. Kringle.com or 1-800-4DANISH. Racine Danish Kringles. Not just a treat, it's a tradition. And the official pastry of ESPN Wisconsin.
Hey, this is the Fat Jack, and football season is here. Are you ready to make some money? Have you bet on sports before? That probably did not go great. I can help you make money. Go to fatjacksports.com and get dialed in to turn a profit. The picks are emailed to you. They're on your personal portal on the website, and you can pay less than $50 a week for longer packages to make money betting this football season. Fatjacksports.com, the only place you need to go. 100% transparent, and will turn you profit this season at fatjacksports.com.
Sunday. It's racing season at the legendary Great Lakes Dragaway, and our schedule of events is ready. We've still got our yearly holiday weekend races like Labor Day weekend, plus Nitrous Streetcar Brawl, Import Wars, and Night of Fire. You can also book corporate and private events. Take advantage of our season-long passes and even schedule a time to take your car down the legendary quarter mile. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com for pricing and info. Great Lakes Dragaway, just a burnout west of I-94 on County KR. Be there.
I'm Ben Jewick with Coakley Brothers and Brothers Interiors. The crew is winning ball games here in Milwaukee and around the country. Our team stands ready to help your organization win across North America. Powered by Coakley Connect, our revolutionary facilities management platform, the Coakley crew supports clients across the country manage their real estate portfolio, offering facility-focused products and services, interior design, construction, new furniture, installation, and move management. We'll help you create and manage interior environments that drive your teams forward. Visit CoakleyBrothers.com and hit a home run.
Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Green Bay Game Day with you on ESPN Milwaukee. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, Brian Bulaga, and John Anderson hanging out with you until kickoff tonight in Sao Paulo, Brazil, between the Packers and the Eagles. Game number 2 of the NFL season. Game number 1 for each of those teams. I believe I used the phrase external bring-ins earlier in the show. Is that what I said, Brian?
I think so.
Okay, well,
I think so.
Inventing new football terms.
Yeah, an hour and a half later, we can all agree that made absolutely no damn sense. But grateful I'm still sitting in this chair. Let's talk about the free agent acquisitions the Packers brought in. We've talked a little bit about the running back, Josh Jacobs, coming over from the Raiders. And Rob Domofsky mentioned in the 4 o'clock hour when he joined us how the safety room went through a complete overhaul, right? You think about the rookies and, of course, the external bring-in. That was Xavier McKinney from the New York Giants. Each of those guys are going to play a major role for this Packers team in 2024. Gabe, I'll start with you. Which of those free agent acquisitions do you view as more important to the Packers' 2024 success?
I mean, I think McKinney is going to be really important because, I mean, the Packers have been searching for a high-quality safety ever since Nick Collins had the unfortunate neck injury. But I do think it's Josh Jacobs for all the reasons we continue to talk about. The offense hummed at its best when Aaron Jones had done something that Aaron Jones had never done before, and that's rush for 100 yards in 5 straight games. I'm not saying that Josh Jacobs needs to rush for 100 yards in all 17 games this year for the Packers, but it just illustrates how important the run game was to opening up everything that they wanted to do in this offense. And that's true of this style, the McVay, Shanahan type of offense. When you're able to run all your play action stuff because the running game is an actual threat, it just opens up everything. So I think for the continuing growth of the wide receivers, for the continued growth of Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs ends up being hugely important to this offense.
Really good answer by you, Gabe. Brian, I go to you.
I'm going to take I'm going to go with McKinney because you alluded to it of what safety play we've seen, and Nick Collins got brought up, and I was fortunate enough to play a few seasons with Nick, and amazing player. Like just an absolute stud back there. And that's kind of what I see McKinney, kind of molding into. Nick did everything. He was great on the ball. He was great tackling. He was great in coverage. He was like a pure, like all-around safety. He did everything. So that's kind of what I'm hoping McKinney kind of molds into is like a Nick Collins. And if he can do that and be that type of player, yeah, the safety position has been completely revamped. It has been overhauled. And if we could get that type of play and player, man, it's going to look great.
Yeah, when you're looking to replace a guy for a dozen years, that gives you a pretty good indication of how good that guy was when we bring up Nick Collins. John.
Yeah, Nick Collins was going to the Hall of Fame.
100%.
Right? I have no doubt. Nick Collins was going to be that we were going to have another 36 at safety in the Hall of Fame. He and Leroy when that changed. So it's funny. I was talking with people about who is the after Jordan Love, because I think that's right. He's the most important player on the team. There's very little debate to that. Who's the second most? And I vacillated between Jacobs, because how well the offense moves when the running game works, and Xavier McKinney. And I came down on the side of McKinney, only because I think LaFleur can figure out a way to game plan around some of that thing. I haven't seen that from Hafley yet with Jacobs. And I love that kid. He's from Tulsa. I worked in Tulsa for 100 years. The high school he went to is a really kind of a hard part of town. Love the guys that were McLean Scots. But McKinney, I mean, he was brought in because that was everybody's biggest weakness. Jacobs was brought in to fill a hole. The other one was because the position and the defense was bad there.
Great point.
They needed to do something. And then they kind of see him to do, as Brian said, to do everything. They brought him in not to do a little bit, right? He's not a placeholder. He's a everything placeholder. And I think he, as I said to Jason, I think the best player on the defense needs to be Gary, but I think the most important player is still McKinney, because I think he's going to run and everything's going to operate from what he does and how he does it, or whether he's handling calls or all those other things. I think everything sort of keys off of what he can do in the backfield in that position. So, and if there's a guy, we talked about how much money you paid Jordan Love, like he's got to play with. Like, this guy's making money. Like, he not only is he making money, he broke a precedent of, like, they spent money at that position, right? It wasn't like we just brought in, we brought in a free agent for, $3 million. It's not like the Bucks free agency, right? We didn't bring in Gary Trent Jr. here. They brought in a real dude.
I'm excited for Gary Trent Jr., but I digress. But no, to your point with that, when you dive into the external bring-in market, with something the Packers just rarely do, but usually there's a reason somebody becomes a free agent, right? Like with Josh Jacobs, he didn't have a great year. Nobody really pays running backs, so the Raiders decided to let him go. Like the Giants just foolishly decided not to bring back Xavier McKinney. Like everybody wanted to go after this guy. He was one of the premium targets for everybody on the free agent market because of how young he is and athletic. And he's just one of those rare free agents where, people are just absolutely lining up to try to bring him in. The Packers had to pay a premium to bring him in. And again, with that contract now comes some expectations. I'm excited to see what he can do.
I am too. And look, this is a tough question, which is why I asked it and haven't answered it yet, because both of these guys are going to play really crucial roles. I lean with McKinney to the points Brian and John made on how important he will be for the back end of that defense, right? You look at a guy like Jair, who's kind of been in no man's land in the defensive backfield. He's never really had a true complementary, second piece overall in the defensive backfield during his tenure with the Green Bay Packers. So he finally has that with Xavier McKinney, and I'm really excited to see, again, what this mystery box of a defensive scheme will look like here in Week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Alex Strofe, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Brian Bulaga with you for about another 12 or so minutes. Coming up on the other side, we wrap up Green Bay Game Day. We make our game picks ahead of the Week 1 matchup between the Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. That's next right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
Standing up for everyday Americans is at the very foundation of who Kamala Harris is. Raised in a middle-class home by a working mother who instilled in her a passion for justice and equality. That's why when Kamala Harris became district attorney, she stood up for our kids, keeping them safe by prosecuting sex offenders. She also pioneered a program to give nonviolent drug offenders a second chance. As president, Kamala Harris will continue the fight for everyday Americans. She's already lowered the cost of your health insurance and medications. Insulin is now capped at $35 for seniors. But there's more to do because mortgages, rents, groceries, and utility bills are still too high. Harris's plan to fix it? Build more homes to lower prices and make the wealthy and billionaires pay their fair share so we get a break. All her life, Kamala Harris has been standing up for us, and she doesn't plan to stop anytime soon.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for president.
$1 million. That's big, really big. This September, Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee is handing out a cool million, and you've got a shot at winning your share. The big $1 million giveaway is here. Just play with your rewards card and you're entered to win. Couldn't be easier and couldn't be bigger. No wonder it's called the Big One. For more details, visit paysbig.com/big one. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Injuries happen, but you don't have to play in pain or stay on the sidelines. Whether it's your kids dealing with a sports injury, college athletes, or the rest of us weekend warriors, the experts at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin will quickly diagnose your problem, lay out a treatment plan that works for you, and get you back in the game. They fixed my knee. My mother-in-law is back on the dance floor with a new hip. These are the experts you can trust. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CLEAN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CLEAN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code CLEAN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Big players show up in big games.
Touchdown!
Donald Driver and Cousins Subs are no different. With the football season upon us, Double D and Cousins are teaming up to offer 80-cent delivery this Friday through Sunday on any order of $30 or more. Simply order your favorite subs and sides online or on Cousins mobile app, and we'll deliver them to you. And don't forget, we now offer Apple and Google Pay. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hey, this is Homer. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD, Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
All right. Deep exhale. 10 minutes away from the Green Bay Packers kicking off the 2024 season. I cannot wait. I hear you, Bart Scott. It's actually John Anderson who yelled that. Brian Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strofe with you for about, I'm so bad at math. I don't know why I do this. 8 minutes. We've got to make some game picks, fellas. Gabe, I'll let you go first since yours is already public.
I think the defense has its struggles tonight. This is a very good offense. I think Jalen Hurts is out to try to prove he's not the guy that had the fourth most turnovers in the league last year. I think he plays a pretty clean game. If they're able to run the ball successfully, you got to bring up an extra safety in the box. They've got two dangerous receivers on the outside. I think the Packers hang with. But ultimately, it's a 28-24 Eagles victory down in Brazil.
28-24 means they played a competitive game, and that offense is cooking a little bit.
I'm expecting it to be a good game.
You're expecting points, it sounds like. I'll go next. I think the Packers win tonight. I think it is a heavy offense game. I think, as the great Jim Ross said once upon a time, Gabe Neitzel, this is a wrestling reference for you. I think we're in for a good old-fashioned slobber knocker. I'll take the Packers 31-28. I think we get points. I don't think the defense looks terrific, but they don't look awful. And we've got a good back and forth between Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love, both members of the 2020 NFL draft class. John Anderson, what do you think?
Well, first off, if you guys are old enough to remember, in 1976, Nazareth's big hit, it was a remake of Love Hurts. I don't know how we haven't played that in the background yet. It's a great song. It was like one of the big hits of the night. So the last time I got to do this was the Packers played the Lions in Lambeau, right? And I stopped by go stop by all the houses there that we got there, the old housing development that O'Karmazon's got running. And then I had a cocktail or two, and I'm like, yes, the Packers are going to drill the Lions. And they got just absolutely plowed.
Yeah, you probably left that game early, yeah.
Yeah, no. Dude, where am I going early? Why would you ever leave a game early? That's the dumbest thing ever. You just paid how much money and you're going to leave early? Also, I live in Connecticut. Why am I leaving early to get to Connecticut?
All great points.
How many flights from Austin Straubel are landing in Hartford?
Yeah, exactly. 0. I'm going to fall prey. I'm going to take that Hafley is going to, I'm going to do it right here. This is the only time I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Hafley's defense is going to be great. The offense is going to come through, and the Packers are going to win by a score. And ironically enough, this is the exact score, is the exact same as the all-time series between the two franchises. Packers 28, Eagles 18.
Oh.
I like it.
How about that?
That is
Yeah.
That's
and
what
by the way,
people care about.
I can get 2.5. Anytime I can get 2.5, give me the candy on top of that. But yeah, I'm just going to go for history's sake. I'm going 28-18.
Stats people care about, John. Unlike the Josh Jacobs stat I threw at you earlier in the show.
Nobody cares about that one.
I do. Brian Bulaga, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gabe's pick, but flipped. I like 28-24 Green Bay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be competitive. I have confidence in the defense. I think they're going to step up when it matters. I think we're going to see offense which is going to make this an entertaining game. But I think Green Bay gets it done at the end of it.
So I would like us East to put a stake in a wide receiver, not literally. But I said Jaden Reed, first touchdown scorer.
Yeah.
Gabe, you mentioned Dontavian Wicks to get in the end zone. John, Brian, is there a wide receiver that's sticking out to you specifically for this matchup against the Eagles? Because there's plenty to choose from.
Yeah, see, and I don't think so. I think that's the beauty of our guy is that he picks who's open. He doesn't, So I don't know. Yeah, I think to do that is nice, but I think there's a bit of a fool's errand in that.
Does that concern you about long-term success? Because it seems like every Super Bowl winner has a true number one receiving option.
There's only so many Jerry Rices out there. No. Tom Brady won a bunch of them. He had guys that he was favorite.
He also
Gronk
helps.
Okay, he had him for half of them. Right?
Yeah.
Ben Coach was very good. I get it. He had guys. No, but what I'm saying is it wasn't the same guy. If they had a rotating cast of characters, it was at that position.
Good point. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna, because I think he's made so many plays down inside the red zone as a receiver, and he's not afraid to get in the middle of the field as Dobbs. I think he is not afraid to cross the middle of the field in goal line type situations or where they're down deep in the red zone. He's not afraid to go over the middle, and Jordan Love, as we've seen, is not afraid to throw it over the middle into tight spaces in the red zone. So I like Dobbs, but John said it, like, he throws to the open guy. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't just stick to one guy and try to force it in. He really lets these routes develop and finds the open man and either throws him open because he's the best option, or guys win and he gets them the ball. So it's hard to pick one in particular.
It is.
But if I was going to do it, I would say that.
All reliable Romeo Dobbs, who came up big many times last season for the Packers. Well, you guys don't live in a local television market, so I know you've got to go get Peacock fired up. So, John, Brian, any final words before we let you go here on Green Bay Game Day?
Yeah, given the excitement we had for Gary Trent Jr., I'm sorry we don't have more time to talk about DeLon Wright.
Good backup point guard, John. Don't underrate him.
Since we're really into the the outside bringing interference.
The external bring-ins.
Yeah.
The external bring-ins. Yeah, that was a dynamite drop by me.
Yeah. So, no, my last thought is just like, hey, enjoy the game, and very much what's been emphasized both from Wildy and Brian, especially because he's been through so much of it, is don't make grand pronouncements one way or another after these 60 minutes. That would be, let's temper on both sides, which is hard, right? Fans live Sunday to Sunday. Coaches live all season. GMs live 2 and 3 years down the road. And Mike Murphy and presidents, they look 5 and 10 years down the road. So I'm going to go and panic for an hour, and then by next week I'll just be like, okay, we're good. I'm not going overboard.
Yeah, once I sleep on it, I feel better. But I will overreact until I go to bed tonight, John. But I will take your advice nonetheless. Brian, final word from you.
Yeah, I think John hit the nail on the head with it. Like, we can't overreact one way or another. I think what I just want to see is solid play, like not sloppy football. And sometimes we get that early in the season, but just solid play. And, the effort, that edge, especially with the way this new defense he brought in, and that's kind of their attitude and mentality, playing with an edge, not being bullied. That's what this Eagles team does. They bully guys up front on offensive line and defensive line. If we can match that intensity and take it to them, I think we're going to see good results. So there's a few different things I'm watching, but I just want to see a solid game played, and hopefully it goes in Green Bay's favor. But enjoy the game. I think it's going to be a good one, and I'll be excited to jump back on. I think I'm on Monday. Yeah, I'm on Monday to talk about it. And, for a week one of this, my first time doing the pregame, I had a hell of a time. So I'm excited for the weeks to come doing it.
It was a fun one, and a man that knows his work schedule very clearly there. Gabriel Neitzel, your final word.
Yeah, I'm excited to get finally data points on this defense. We've been hearing about the aggressiveness. I'm curious to see how different it does indeed look from what we've been watching over the last handful of years, going from a 3-4 all the way to a 4-3. I'm just excited that we have football that actually means something.
It actually means something. Amen. We made it. We made it. Kickoff in just a couple of minutes. Big thanks to Jason Wilde and Rob Domofsky for joining us on the program tonight. A big thanks to John Anderson, Brian Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, new members of our Green Bay Game Day cast this season, leading you up to kickoff each and every week. Make sure you check out Green Bay Game Night immediately when the clock hits 0. Gary Ellerson, Mark Tauscher, Jason Wilde, and, of course, Steve the Homer True with you 2 hours after the game on Green Bay Game Night right here on ESPN Wisconsin. For John Anderson, for Brian Bulaga, for Gabe Neitzel, for Chris Larson running the show, I'm Alex Strofe. My last words, go Pack Go. Enjoy the game. Green Bay Game Night with you right after the game here on ESPN Wisconsin.
Even when you think you know what's going on,